so that means the mood must be better today. Isn't that right? Also, Vic Fangio spoke yesterday. I love Vic. Can't wait to talk about it all today. It's Kincade Salciunas, 97.5, The Fanatic.
This is Kincade and Salciunas.
That's the first time the Phillies have lost 4 straight at Citizens Bank Park since 2022. You mentioned the stat just last week.
70 and 30.
70-30 in 100 games at home at Citizens Bank Park. And then right after you give that stat, they follow up with 4 straight losses at home for the first time since 2022. That's why baseball is a beautiful sport. That's why
beautiful?
sports are. Oh, yeah, man, it is.
That's beautiful?
Yeah, exactly.
You and I have different opinions on beautiful.
Kincade and Salciunas. John Kincade, Andrew Salciunas.
97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
And a good Wednesday morning, Philadelphia, Andrew Salciunas alongside my man John Kincade. Johnny, good morning.
We look very cleaned up this morning.
I don't know why.
We got guests in the building today, so we look a little cleaned up.
Honestly, I didn't see your text until after I was dressed
You
up.
kidding me?
Yeah.
You really? So you decided to look all dressed up?
Back-to-back days.
Like picture day today.
Back-to-back days. I'm wearing a golf pole. The weather's nice. You know, I want to enjoy
It's
it.
going to be like 80 today or something?
Today's going to be beautiful,
80-something? That's beautiful.
Phillies win yesterday. They
That
beat the
first inning was
Toronto
wild,
Blue
eh?
Jays 8-3. 6 runs in the first. They send 11 batters, 2 home runs back-to-back, Turner and Bryce Harper. So that must mean that everybody is happy again, right, John?
I would imagine that probably there were some, or some people go into hiding.
That's probably going to happen.
It could mean that also. I would think that it brings us back to where we did post-show headlines yesterday.
Yep, absolutely. And
Which I woke up with a weird feeling yesterday. And I told you about it on post-show headlines.
Yes, you did. And that's going to be our jumping-off point today. So yesterday, we do post-show headlines after every single show where we talk about some topics that we didn't get into on the air. Maybe some of them are non-sports related because
it was sort of it was almost non-sports related. Well, it was
about the Phillies.
Yeah, but it was just a weird related. But it was a weird feeling. It was just a feeling. It wasn't like any insight. It was just a weird feeling that I had.
Yeah, so I would like you to explain to the people the weird feeling that you had.
So we do 5 questions at the end of every show on our post-show headlines. And I told Andrew yesterday I had this weird feeling that last night's game was going to be the start of something. That the Phillies season is going to go one of 2 directions. It's either going to go dramatically in one direction or dramatically in the other. Either it's going to race off towards a playoff berth or it's going to race off towards a cliff. And then that first inning happened last night, and I told my wife, and I said I just had this gut instinct that this is going to be the start of something. That this team's going to either answer the bell, turn around what has been a spin, or they're going to spin out of control. And then that first inning happened. Now, look, one game doesn't determine. One inning doesn't determine.
4 games doesn't determine either.
No, but I loved that response last night.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed that because I really thought that I saw relief in that dugout. I saw smiles. I saw high fives. I saw guys, I think, taking a deep breath.
Yeah, maybe they needed a first inning explosion like that after how bad the 3 games were against the Brewers. I know it was 4 straight losses. I won't kill them. I won't kill them for that last loss against the Braves. Second game of a doubleheader. They already won the series. I'm not going to kill them for that.
Yeah, they tend to take the foot off the gas. This team has a foot off the gas mentality, but it all comes from their manager who does the give-up lineups too. He does the give-up lineups at the end of series.
Dude, they were just coming off of a couple of sweeps.
No, I got you, but he does.
They had won 9 straight games.
He loves the give up lineups. Do you argue that with me? He loves to play the give up lineups. He loves putting guys who don't belong in the field. He loves doing that. It's just who he is. He doesn't believe in starting guys 145, 150 games. He just doesn't do that, and that's his philosophy, and it works for him. He wins a lot of games, but I don't expect a lot of. I expect that there's going to be a lot of
I'm just looking back to that Braves game. That final, it wasn't a give up lineup. The only thing that we don't like was Weston Wilson left field. But
Weston Wilson doesn't deserve to be in the field
at all. But they were
all.
facing Chris Sale, and that's why Kepler wasn't playing. Everybody else was Turner,
Weston Wilson
Turner,
shouldn't be
Schwarber,
in the
Bohm,
field.
Castellanos, Real Muto, Sosa, Wilson, Stott, Rojas, and the only reason why Bohm and Sosa are both in the lineup was because Harper was out. So that wasn't a give up lineup.
Weston Wilson, you're taking the anomaly and you're not looking at the entire. You're looking at one instance and saying, see, he doesn't do this.
I'm just,
when you know he does this.
No, but the point is, you said that started with the give-up lineup.
No, I'm saying is that is he usually, I said he usually does the give-up lineup.
So the Phillies bounced back yesterday.
Yes.
And so when you were telling me this yesterday in post-show headlines, when you said I had a feeling, and I asked you if it was gas.
And it was not.
Look, I'm not there. I don't have that feeling that you have. And again, I don't know which direction. When you asked me if there was a direction, I told you.
Did you have a gut instinct of where it was going?
Yeah, and I said positive because I was not overreacting or reacting much to 4 straight losses. And I kept that energy on Monday. I kept it yesterday leading up to the game, and I stand by it. 4 losses are going to happen over the course of a Major League Baseball season with every team.
I mean, not like that. By the way, 4 losses, giving up 37 runs. You know how many teams have done that this year?
0, I'm guessing.
2.
Okay, and one of them the
Phillies
Rockies?
and the Rockies.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it was not just a 4-game losing streak. It was a 4-game losing streak that pathetic, terrible teams have, not great teams with top 4 payrolls. So, I mean, we got to look at it that way. Just to give balance, we got to give balance.
But then you can also give me a positive stat last week where the Phillies are the first team in MLB history to win 70 of 100 home games.
No, and I did do that. But that's part of the balance. The 4-game losing streak was not just a 4-game losing streak. A 4-game losing streak when you lose 5-4, 6-3, 2-1 is a totally different losing streak. When you give up 37 runs at home, that is a pathetic performance. That was a listless, lifeless performance.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying the performance was good. I didn't all of a sudden say this could be the beginning of some sort of slide. And there were a lot of people
who believed
that thought that this was the beginning. Here we go all over again, just like last year. I didn't get that sense at all.
No.
I was going to say it for next segment, but wow, Bryce Harper's back in the lineup.
Okay.
They win. Like, Bryce Harper was out in those 4 games. I understand that you were saying that maybe one guy can't do it. I do believe that one guy can change the way a lineup goes, especially when he's protecting Trey Turner or Kyle Schwarber's protecting him. Harper comes back for 1 game, they put up 8 runs.
I'll go with Ricky. That when you've got 200 million, 300 million guys,
I hear you,
that are literally there whining about the fact that one of their guys is out of the lineup.
Maybe it shouldn't be public, but it could be true.
When other teams are missing much more and have lost tons of guys, that have lost tons of players. The Dodgers have how many pitchers on the?
I'm not talking about. I'm not talking about the pitching. I'm talking about the lineup.
But they could be that affects your chances to win too. I mean, it's the fact that they bring up who's missing from lineups. It's just weak sauce.
But I understand that it's weak for a player to bring it up to Ricky's point, but it is real. Like, if you're missing your key guy in your order that protects multiple players, that is a legitimate thing. That guy that strikes fear. Like, imagine if the Yankees were missing Aaron Judge for an extended period of time. I imagine that the offense is going to take a toll. But imagine if the Dodgers are missing Shohei Ohtani this is Bryce Harper might not be as good as those 2 players, but he's on that level when we talk about greatness in the sport right now.
But you're playing the Milwaukee Brewers. You're not playing the Yankees. You're not playing the Dodgers. You're playing a team that you were decidedly better than with or without Bryce Harper. I mean, again, everything is. I'm trying to give the people who were overreacting, and we agree.
It was a total overreaction.
But I'm trying to give them a voice where they were legitimately had a reason to say this wasn't just a 4-game losing streak. This was a pathetic collapse, and then it was really weak sauce response. Yeah, well, we're missing Bryce Harper.
Or was the response yesterday scoring 8 runs?
That was wonderful. It was wonderful to see them come out and do that.
And that's why, I'm not going to also celebrate today like they won the World Series.
Sure.
Like, it was June 3rd yesterday. Just like the previous game was June 1st, and it was May 31st, and it was May 30th. Like, I get it. We are in a mode right now where we are living and dying by every pitch with this team because it's World Series or bust expectations.
Sure.
And it should be, right?
Well, I think NLCS or bust.
Correct, but because what if they face the Dodgers? But look, if they lose in the wild card round, divisional round of the playoffs, have at it. I'll be right there with you. But right now, on June 4th, I'm not going to celebrate like they won the World Series yesterday, but I'm also not going to panic from a 4-game losing streak, despite how bad it was. So do you believe this is the beginning of a stretch that could go one way or the other? That's what John said on post-show headlines.
I just had a gut instinct, and That first inning may have told me maybe we're going to see something like that.
Well, I would like to get reaction to that at 610-632-0975. Speaking of yesterday's game, we'll break it down a little bit because it was a really fun first inning yesterday. And a tweet that I saw yesterday during that fun first inning is part of the problem with reactions to this team right now. It's Kincade Salciunas, 97.5, The Fanatic.
Philadelphia Union Soccer.
They play short here. Quinn Sullivan scores!
Kincade Salciunas, 97.5, The Fanatic. So the Phillies win yesterday, 8-3.
Do you like sitting down to watch a game? Like I got done playing some golf, came home, got there right at pretty much the beginning of the game, and a first inning goes like that. It's great to see it.
Oh, yeah.
But then the game bores the hell out.
Yeah, but you know, Coop was sick yesterday.
Oh, okay, yeah, and he's doing well?
Yeah, he's doing.
He
had a good night. But we were watching. You know, we don't let him watch too much TV, but when he's sick, it's like, all right, watch Paw Patrol, right? So he had the Paw Patrol on the big TV. So I went with the phone with the Phillies game on the Hulu app, and I'm like, this is nice. I needed that. I needed a
big, easy
6-run outburst after dealing with a sick kid all day and after dealing with people thinking the sky was falling this week. So it was
a nice way to start the week.
It was therapeutic for me yesterday. Trust me. So the Phillies get the win. They put up 11 hits. They score 8 runs. It's funny. In a game where they score 8 runs, Kyle Schwarber does not get on base. Nick Castellanos, 0 for 4. He ends up scoring a run after getting on base. But it was more so some of your big guys. Trey Turner, 3 for 5 with 2 home runs. Bryce Harper, he goes 1 for 3 with 2 walks and a home run in his return. And he was wearing the elbow guard, Johnny.
How do you like that?
That's good.
How do you like that one?
Now,
isn't that amazing?
He spoke after the game that he wore, I don't know if it was this one or obviously there's a million of them, after he had the surgery. He then just took it off.
And then he took it off.
And now after that injury, I imagine.
He took it off before the playoffs, too.
Yes. I imagine we're going to see Bryce Harper wearing an elbow guard.
So you think from
forward.
now on?
I would get. I mean, look, he swings. He hits a home run. His first step back. Like, he clearly is not hampered by it.
Not hampered by it is one thing. But there's nobody more particular or more odd than baseball players.
Yeah. I know.
I mean, it's just so it could just be something that it doesn't feel right.
Yeah. No, I get
don't
it.
like it.
But look,
I'm superstitious.
If you have results and if your body is more careful, especially you, Bryce Harper, $300 million man.
Thank you for the investment.
Yeah,
we need you healthy.
Yeah,
which is great. That was awesome to see him out there. That was great.
Yeah, and then
welcome back.
Christopher Sanchez had a decent outing yesterday. 4 walks, 4 strikeouts.
He gave up like 4 hits, right?
He had 4 hits,
over 6
4 walks.
Yeah,
the control wasn't necessarily.
No, it wasn't pinpoint.
But he got at it all these jams. There was the bases load that he got out of. So I give him a lot of credit.
If Bryson Stott's listening, I'm not being critical because I don't want to get jumped. Because Andrew will jump me if I criticize Christopher Sanchez, who's been their 4th best starter. So I mean, he's I don't want to get jumped.
4th best starter in a very good rotation. It's not like the Nola 4th best starter conversation.
We guy's got like a sub 3.5 ERA. He's been solid every time.
He's got a 3.15 ERA this year, John.
I got you. I have ears in the locker room that got on me last week because I was critical of Christopher Sanchez.
Yeah, and I think deservedly so that I jumped you last week.
And I was told by said player that Christopher would say the same thing about his performance this year.
And I think he's been pitching.
Yeah, would you rather have Bowden Francis going up there?
I didn't say that.
Exactly.
See, you can't take an
starter has a 3.1 ERA.
That's what I'm saying is you can't take it, but you can't take it. He's been the 4th starter. That's great. He's doing great. That's the way it is.
Technically, he's the 3rd starter now, better than that Jesus Luzardo.
Yeah, because Luzardo stinks.
Yeah, that Luzardo.
Now, speaking of Bowden Francis, who was
hello Francis,
he was bad yesterday. An inning and 2/3, 7 hits, 6 earned runs.
That was terrible.
Oh, by the way, they had him eat a 2nd inning. So Bowden.
Yeah, he is not the best pitcher on their staff. In fact, he's been one of their worst.
So here's the thing with Bowden Francis, and this is where like I get annoyed sometimes by comments.
2 last names?
No,
that annoys you.
So our man Pratik, who chimes in a lot on social media, he responds to one of my tweets yesterday about the Phillies maybe not stinking after all. And he said, well,
that's a little premature.
He said, well, Bowden Francis stinks. He stunk all season. Just wanted to put that out there. Look, if the Phillies didn't hit Bowden Francis, Pratik would be the first person to be like, oh, my God, they can't hit this gas can.
That is you spiking the football a little bit. You're tweaking people.
Yes, because they don't stink.
I got you.
The Phillies don't stink.
I got you, but one game doesn't mean that,
neither did 4 games.
I got you.
God.
No, 37 runs in a 4-game sweep. Them and the Rockies, Andrew. Come on now. It's not a normal 4-game losing streak.
I can't wait to revisit this conversation in September.
No, you got to look at the 4-game losing streak and say, you understand it's not a normal 4-game losing streak.
They hit a bad skid.
It wasn't normal.
They hit a bad skid.
No, it wasn't normal. 4 games at home, giving up 37 runs, not normal.
Rough stretch. All right, coming up next. Vic Fangio spoke to the media yesterday for the first time during OTAs. I love Vic because he's a man of few words, but he gets right to the point. Like he doesn't sugarcoat things. He doesn't do the Nick Sirianni, let me do the sandwich, the compliment, then the critique, then the compliment. He just tells you like it is. There's a lot to unpack. We'll play you some clips coming up next. It's Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
Harper returns in a big way. I'm Brendan Gunn with your Fanatic Sports Update. The Phillies put an end to their 4-game losing skid as the Bats came alive in an 8-3 win over the Toronto Blue Jays last night. Not only that, but it was also the return of Bryce Harper, and he returned in a big way in his first at-bat. In the first inning, Trey Turner and Bryce Harper got the team on the board with back-to-back home runs. Turner would also go deep a second time later in the game. Christopher Sanchez got the start on the mound. He went 6 innings, struck out 4, allowed 1 run on 4 hits. The Phils continue that series against the Blue Jays tonight. Mick Abel's on the mound for his second career start in the big leagues. First pitch is tonight at 7:07. The Eagles have an off day today before wrapping up OTAs tomorrow. But prior to yesterday's OTA practice, defensive coordinator Vic Fangio spoke, and he had some great things to say about Jordan Davis, who Fangio says has been building on his pass rush skills that came to fruition in the NFC Championship game and the Super Bowl.
He showed it in practice first, and then it carried over into the games. And so I think he realized that, felt it, felt good, and he's just carried it over all off season.
After OTAs get wrapped up tomorrow, next on the agenda for the Birds is mandatory minicamp, which opens up this coming Tuesday, June the 10th. This update was brought to you by Mercedes-Benz. The Mercedes-Benz Dream Days are back with offers on vehicles like the 2025 E-Class, CLE Coupe, C-Class, and EQE Sedan. Hurry in now through July 31st. Learn more at mbusa.com/dream. I'm Brendan Gunn on the home of the NBA Finals, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Texting, the easiest and most convenient way to communicate.
one quick note on the Phillies 4-game losing streak, and you keep on pointing out the amount of runs and
yes, that they did it at home. By the way, the Rockies did on the road.
right. Only the Phillies and Rockies do. But here's where I respond, and I know you won't like the answer, and I totally get it.
That's okay.
I'm gonna say, well, that could just be baseball, because no, hold on.
I don't.
Hold on.
Okay.
I knew you would, because there is no way an ounce of you, a square centimeter of you,
Okay.
thinks that the Phillies are anything like the Rockies.
No, I don't. But the thing is that you have to realize not all 4-game losing streaks are the same. And unless you're willing to acknowledge that, we can't have a logical conversation and debate on it.
Yeah, you can lose 4 straight games by 4 runs
not
or 37
no,
runs.
But what does not to say mean? What if they go and sweep the Blue Jays? Then what does not to say
Right.
mean?
It's
Just because
not-
they got their ass kicked for 3 games, that means it's the end of the world? But
No, it shows you, it's a window into your soul. It shows you the deficiencies of your team. If you if you have a 4-game losing streak and you lose the 4 games by 6 total runs, you brush it off and you say, that's baseball.
Well, hold on.
If you lose by 37 runs at home,
Hold on, let me.
you realize you have deficiencies.
All right, what deficiencies? Obviously, the biggest part of the 37 runs was the 10 runs, the 17 runs they allowed that Saturday.
Correct.
Luzardo had a horrible day.
It was
he's not a deficiency.
It was a crazy day for Lazard.
And then Jose Ruiz gave up 7. What did they do? They cut him the next day.
You realize you have a bottom 5 bullpen
Yes.
in baseball.
Yes.
It was exasperated by that 4-game losing streak.
But
It's
but here's the thing. I already knew that, right?
Did
And
they
so,
know it?
I hope.
No, whoa. Okay. I love what you just said there. You're being honest. I hope.
Yeah.
Well, that's what the people who are exasperated, Andrew,
Right, and that's why
what they're saying.
But here's the deal. That's why every single baseball. I know you read all the stuff.
Sure.
Every single baseball reporter in the world has the Phillies tied to like 18 different.
But that's
relievers.
what they are hoping. You're saying.
No, those are what they're reporting.
No, I understand. But you're saying, I hope.
Yeah, I hope.
Because that's what they're hoping too. Because what have they seen? They saw an organization that last winter said, we good. In fact, we're going to take one of the top bullpens in baseball, and we're going to break it up. We're going to break it up.
would you rather have Hoffman on this team right now?
Yes. I would love to have had it. Don't tell me because of what happens in another city. You don't know what happens when a guy is on your team, comfortable with your setup.
I saw
and how
what he did
things
in
are
the
going.
postseason, and he's built on that this season.
No, I don't worry about Jeff Hoffman because if you're going to tell me you can't use the 4-game argument and then use the 2-game argument. You can't do that. You can't have it both ways. He was spectacular last year. He's part of the reason you won 95 games. He was one of the top 5 relievers in the National League. So you can't use that argument. And no, I don't take something that's broken. And what I said was Hoffman or Estevez. I keep one of them. I don't give up both of them. That's the one thing I do. So if you want to let Hoffman go to Toronto, Gunner, I'm fine with it. That's cool. But I'm not letting Estevez walk too. I went and gave up to go get Estevez at the trade deadline. So what am I doing this year? I'm going shopping again at the trade deadline to go get somebody. By the way, how's Estevez doing? Would you like him in this bullpen?
Yeah, he's doing very well.
I would like him, yes.
Okay, well then that's what I said at the time. Keep one of them. You don't let them both walk. But Dave Dombrowski was like, we're good. And we're fine. We're going to let them both walk. And I give credit to Sir Anthony on the way out because Andrew said it. When Sir Anthony walked out the door, I didn't roll my eyes, but I was like, okay, I'm not that alarmed over Sir Anthony walking out the door. It ended up being a problem. Like an issue.
Maybe they'll bring him back. We'll see.
I don't think so.
All right, so Vic Fangio yesterday spoke to the media.
He's not a problem.
No, he's not. I love Vic Fangio.
He's a solution.
Like I just love that he gets right to the point and gives information. It's fantastic. So a couple of clips that we want to run through and react to for you guys. Here he was, and a lot of these are the concerns that we all had, right? Like I love the reporters in town because they just got to it, right? And one of the questions was about the depth and the youth at the edge rusher position and whether or not he feels comfortable. We literally had this conversation yesterday.
Yes.
Are you comfortable with
Jeff
Nolan
McClain
Smith
we had it with.
and Jalix Hunt being the 2 edge rushers, like the guys that will probably play the bulk of the snaps? Here is Fangio addressing those concerns.
I feel good about Nolan. I think we'll feel good about Jalix, now that he's going to get a lot of reps and develop. He played good for us down the stretch last year and played a lot, as you saw. So I feel good about those two guys, and I think they'll continue to improve. You know, we've got Uche, we've got Aziz, we've got 3 other guys there. I think we'll be fine.
And in case anyone,
I don't believe that answer.
Well, hold on. See, I knew somebody was going to say that. Coach speak or whatever. When did he ever lie to us last year? About Bryce Huff? Yeah, this guy, he doesn't have it yet.
Did you hear his answer? I mean, did you listen to it?
I listened to it.
No, but you listened to it.
He feels good about those guys.
I don't believe it. I think it was a...
Yeah, I didn't believe Zach Ball would be an all-pro linebacker.
No, I think it was a very... Yeah, he's good with it. He's good with it. He's not enthused. He did not sound in the least bit enthused.
Yeah, but you know what? I wasn't enthused with their pass rush either. But Jalen Carter is such a beast in the middle that it allows guys like Josh Sweat, who I think got overpaid this offseason, to have good seasons.
Oh, I got you. I'm not paying Josh Sweat what Josh Sweat got paid.
And so maybe Vic Fangio does feel good. Now, this one was interesting, the conversation about what you do with Cooper DeJean, because in OTAs we saw him have some snaps at the outside corner position, even though I do believe he should stay at the nickel position. And I do believe it's more difficult than the outside corner position for some of you who take exception to that. Vic Fangio talked about other ways to use DeJean. Take a listen.
I would like to keep him at nickel, and then in our base package, we'll find a spot for him, either at corner or safety. I think a lot of it will end up depending upon how the rest of the guys develop and where do we most need them. So it will be determined by what's best for him and what's best for the team. And it'll probably, what's best for the team will win out in that decision. But he's capable of playing corner and he's capable of playing safety.
So do we have to retire the song? Cooper DeJean is not a safety? He might.
No, he is.
He might play him.
I needed to check after when I did hear that during the press conference. Does he know football?
Yeah.
Because
remember, he said we would like to keep him at nickel.
Yeah, I mean, does he know football? Because I wondered, because people were questioning you.
I don't know football.
No. Look like, man, Vic Fangio, though. I got a question if he knows football.
I don't know football, but if Vic Fangio says the exact same thing.
Yeah, and I got a question if he knows football.
He must not know football. That's hilarious.
Here's what you know is that his skill set in the slot is going to be. It's invaluable.
Because he can defend everybody that lines up in the slot and can tackle anybody. We saw him pile drive Derrick Henry.
His tackling.
It's unbelievable.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, the kid's a beast.
It is. It's awesome.
Now, here was one that kind of alarmed us. He was talking about Zach Bond and what Zach Bond's role could be in year 2 following his incredible season last year. And he talked about how he could start as the Mike linebacker. Why? Take a listen.
Well, Zach can play either spot. Again, that will, just like with Cooper, wherever we need him the most, what's best for the team, which will be determined some by who the next guy is until Nakobe comes back, which, you know, he won't be back for a while. That'll be TBD. That'll be a good question after 2 preseason games.
Won't be back for a while. Now, we knew he wasn't going to be back for a while because that injury was gruesome. Like when your knee...
Oh, it's terrible.
Moves. Like, that's disgusting.
Yeah, your kneecap and your thigh.
Yeah,
you don't like to see that.
Yeah, we knew he wasn't going to be back for a while. But again, we don't know how long he's going to be out.
It doesn't sound good.
There's no, time to, we haven't heard, he could be back between weeks
bad.
1 and 4. We have no idea.
That sounds bad. That sounds almost not beginning of the year.
Yeah.
Which is a problem. Because
or if he does come back the final week of the preseason, he's going to have to do so much before he can just. I don't think Nakobe Dean just lines up week 1 without practicing.
Well, I think that would be a little bit of a problem. But we saw it last year with Cooper DeJean. Cooper DeJean really had no training camp for the most part. And then was able to pretty.
Yeah, but you didn't see him really.
They had to bring him along. They had to bring him along
until week 5.
Well, that was because they had to bring him along slowly in the first game.
That's what I'm saying.
Who do they have to fill Nakobe Dean's shoes until then?
Jahad
that's
Campbell,
the question.
Who's also
Jahad Campbell's
who's also missing time.
Right.
Maybe Smile Mondon. Right. He brought him up yesterday in the press conference.
I said it to you before when my source in Athens said to me that there was going to be the second dog, and after the draft. That same source said to me, they thought Smile was going to be the guy.
Yeah.
That he was going to be the guy that was going to end up here. So the Eagles had their eye on him all along. And so we'll see. We'll see how that works out. I can tell you, they love him in Athens. So It may end up being a huge hit.
Could be. 5th round
Huge
pick.
hit.
Could be. All right, coming up next, we'll check our text line on the Phillies reaction. And if you hear anything from Vic Fangio that stood out to you, you can climb in at 610-632-0975. But we got 2 more clips to play for you from Vic. One of them may tell you why they moved on from CJ Gardner-Johnson. The other, for those of you who are concerned, and we've talked about it, the turnover on this defense.
Yes.
Can they recreate what they did last year with all this turnover? He spoke on that, and it was actually a clip that lasted more than 15 seconds. So he must really feel comfortable.
He got long-winded.
It's Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic. We want to hear from you, so text us at 610. Kincade Salciunas, 97.5, The Fanatic. All right, before we get to our text line, I want to play two more clips for you from Vic Fangio's press conference yesterday.
One thing here.
Yeah.
Annie is listening this morning.
Hello, Annie.
She goes, I love Vic Fangio, but he will never be a high school graduation speaker. I said, he's not.
You never know, Annie. The sun can come out tomorrow.
I said, that's very good. That's not what he's for. That's not what he's about. I said, he motivates players.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to motivate us.
Look, he could be a good guidance counselor where he just tells you to get your act together.
No, he'd be a very good guy.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
that'd be great.
You know, he kick your ass. Get your grades up.
Shout out Mrs. Berner, who was one of the best in O'Hara back in the day.
That's nice.
I don't know what happened to Mrs. Berner, but she was awesome.
Oh, well, that's really
she
still
was
kicking
awesome.
it.
That's really nice.
I guarantee you, she was young.
Okay,
so she was young, so she's still got to be.
I had Dr. Zalfia Wilson Hill.
Dr. Zalfia Wilson Hill.
That was my guidance counselor.
My guidance counselor had to bribe me with bagels to show up to school at the end of the week if I came all 5 days.
That's donuts.
Yes.
All right.
So started a bad path.
So Vic Fangio, we'll play two more clips for you. This one was very quick, and again, sometimes he gets quick to the punch. He was asked about Chauncey Gardner-Johnson being traded. Now, once more, I will continue to say it. I'm not thrilled that he's not here anymore. And
none of us are.
I understand that there are reasons why, and I think it's more than just salary cap related.
The most female vice presidents in the NFL is part of the reason, and I will stand by that.
You've talked to enough people.
The Eagles having the most female vice presidents in the NFL absolutely played some part.
And in case people are wondering why the Taylor Swift stuff.
Yeah, that's part of it. I think that might have been the last straw.
And the girlfriend post,
the whole
of Travis
girlfriend
Kelce,
post about Travis Kelce and everything. That was out of line.
There was a lot to
totally
it.
out of
Whether
line.
people want to hear it or not, they're
completely out of line.
There's stuff to it. But here he was talking about not having Chauncey Gardner-Johnson this year.
What were your thoughts on trading CJ?
Oh, that was a salary cap type thing, and how he made that decision. I was fine with it.
I was fine with it. Now, a lot of people...
That sounded very... I expected a little more out of him.
Well, maybe he doesn't want to say anything bad. A lot of people did say... And look, everybody that had this opinion is right. Whether you want to... whether I have to agree with Vic Fangio or not, hey, maybe Vic didn't like Chauncey Gardner-Johnson in his scheme. Maybe thinks he could do better with somebody else. Like, when he just says, I'm fine with it, like that...
I think it's the freelancing.
Could be.
Because he doesn't really want the freelancing. He wants...
Right. Somebody to play his scheme, his
He's
system.
old school,
right.
And then, remember, it didn't work until later in the year.
Right. Yeah,
Chauncey Gardner-Johnson was the worst player on the defense for a long part of the season.
Yeah. And then it clicked. By the way, he did mention that Trisha McCollum is also in the mix for that starting safety spot next to Reed Blankenship, not just Makuba and
Did that
Sidney
surprise
Brown.
you?
No, I think he should have an open competition. But Jeff McClain yesterday thinks they might even bring in another body.
Yeah.
So that would be interesting. Lastly, one more clip. For the people that are concerned, and we are,
sure.
Right? All the turnover after winning the Super Bowl. You lost Sweat. You lost Milton Williams, who played 48% of your snaps. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, Darius Slay, his backup, Isaiah Rodgers. Oren Burks, who's the backup to Nakobe Dean, who might be out to start the season, right? They lost a lot of key players on defense or guys that played pivotal roles. Oren Burks played pivotal roles in the playoffs for you, especially after Nakobe Dean got hurt. Here was Vic Fangio speaking for more than 15 seconds, almost a minute long, actually over a minute long, talking about this year compared to last year.
I look at this year very similar to last year in that at this time last year, we had a lot of turnover in personnel from the previous year. You had Bond. Nobody knew what he was at this point last year. You had Nakobe, who hadn't played any meaningful NFL football in his first 2 years. You had Oren Burks, who we had just signed. You had Isaiah Rodgers, who we had just signed. You had Ojomo, who didn't play hardly at all his rookie year. You got Nolan, who didn't play hardly at all his rookie year. We got Chauncey back. We drafted Q, Cooper, Jalix. We had a lot of question marks at that time where you didn't know. This year, those names are replaced. Ringo, Adoree, Sidney, McCollum, Ojulari, Uche, Byron Young, Gabe Hall, Booker, Jihad. All the draft picks, Makuba, Robinson, Smile, and then the rest of the rookies. some of those guys in that second list have to become like those guys in the first list. And I don't know how that's going to turn out, but I look at it as really basically the same one year to the next. The names have changed. Hopefully we'll get the same results from these new guys that we got from a lot of the new guys last year.
So, look, he seems pretty comfortable.
I love the fact that he just rattles them off, too.
Yeah, he knows them all.
Because there's a lot of coaches. No, there's a lot of coaches that won't, until a guy contributes for them,
Right.
I'm not going to call him by name. I'm gonna.
Or I don't want to put that pressure on him. Where he goes, I will put that pressure.
Oh no, he has
him.
a connection right away.
Yeah,
like I'm expecting these guys to look. Here are the guys who left. Here are the guys that we just added, and here's what I'm expecting. I love it. Yeah, I love it. No pretense with him.
No, absolutely
not
not
at all.
All right, what do we got on the text line, Gunner? You can text the show today at 610-632-0975.
We got Colby in Central PA checking in, saying last night's game is an example of what this team can do when they have a series like they did against the Brewers. It can be immensely frustrating as a fan. Don't know what changed. If it was just the fact that Harper was back, maybe. It's as if they were on a sabbatical and just returned to work last night. Despite their success this far and maintaining a within distance record, they haven't played their best baseball yet. I hope this is the start because the road is not going to get any easier and it will not be handed to them.
Might have been lunch at Pearl. Yesterday, they went to lunch at one of my favorite spots in Toronto. A bunch of the Phillies went to lunch at one of my favorite spots in Toronto. It's called
So you think
Pearl.
that did it?
It's called Pearl Asian Cuisine. That sounds nice. It's awesome. You like the Chinese, right?
Yeah, dude.
Right on the waterfront. If you go to Toronto, it's awesome. And a lot of the Phillies were there.
I like every cuisine. Like you
do. You're adventurous.
You almost have to start asking, do I not like something?
But you'll eat Indian food and stuff.
Hell yeah, man.
I won't.
Dude, there's like 3 things on this planet that I don't like. Like, I don't like olives, which is the weirdest thing.
That is weird.
I do olive oil and cooking and stuff, but I don't like olives. I don't like the taste. I don't like the taste of an olive. Like there's. I was just talking to my buddies last week, this past weekend. That I ate cow brain.
Oh my gosh!
And it tastes like beef. Now I would never do it again because it's kind of gross thinking about what you're eating. But I've eaten it. Tartare.
My mom had a jar with when she died. Like in her fridge, cleaning out her fridge, with blue cheese stuffed olives that she would, I guess, put in her homemade martinis.
Yeah.
Which she used
My
to
dad
call.
does that.
She used to call cocktails with Oprah.
I love that.
I'd say, Mom, what are you doing? Cocktails with Oprah. What are you doing?
I love that.
And but she'd have stuffed olives with blue cheese.
Yeah.
But in a jar.
Yeah. My dad eats those. Yeah.
Yeah, but like sitting in a jar in your fridge?
Yeah, sure.
Oh, gross.
All right, coming up next.
Ugh.
We'll reset today's topics. Also, I've been preparing you that this is going to be a wild offseason in the NBA.
Oh, yeah.
And then it was confirmed when Shams Charania a few weeks ago basically said it's going to be a historic offseason for the NBA.
So that means we're getting change here, too?
We'll see about that.
Yeah.
There was change yesterday, and we haven't even started the NBA Finals. It's Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
Harper goes yard in his return. I'm Brendan Gunn with your Fanatic Sports Update. The Phillies put an end to their 4-game losing skid as the Bats came alive in an 8-3 win over the Toronto Blue Jays last night. Not only that, but it was also the return of Bryce Harper, and he returned in a big way in his first at-bat. In the first inning, Trey Turner and Bryce Harper got the team on the board with back-to-back home runs. Trey Turner also went deep a second time later in the game. Christopher Sanchez got the start on the mound. He went 6 innings, struck out 4, allowed 1 run on 4 hits. The Phils continue that series against the Blue Jays tonight. Mick Abel's going to be on the mound for his second career start in the big leagues. First pitch is tonight at 7:07. The Eagles have an off day today before wrapping up OTAs tomorrow. Prior to yesterday's practice, though, defensive coordinator Vic Fangio spoke, and he had some great things to say about Jordan Davis, who Fangio says has been building on his pass rush skills that came to fruition in the NFC Championship game and the Super Bowl.
He showed it in practice first, and then it carried over into the games. And so I think he realized that, felt it, felt good, and he's just carried it over all off season.
And hopefully that continues after OTAs. Next on the agenda for the Birds is mandatory minicamp, which opens up next Tuesday, June the 10th. This update was brought to you by Moyer Indoor and Outdoor Services. Follow Andrew Salciunas' lead and get a jump on a lush green lawn this spring right now. Go to eMoyer.com today for free estimates. I'm Brendan Gunn on the home of the NBA Finals. 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Philadelphia Sports.
Touchdown!
On Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic. You know, you have me obsessed with this
Phineas and Ferb?
No.
Oh.
That was 4-game losing streak.
Okay.
You got me obsessed with it. Like now I'm turning into you.
What, their worst?
The 4-game losing streak that never happened in the history of baseball.
How about their worst 4-game? This is going to give Tony G the credit for this one.
What up, Tony G?
Their worst 4-game losing streak as far as runs allowed in your lifetimes. You mean?
Okay.
Both
Let's call
of
it
you?
a season then.
I'm just saying, no.
Let's call it a season.
You see, don't do this.
Hold
you
on.
see, you're spinning people. That's not what they're saying.
Hold on.
But you're making it out like it's a 4-game losing streak. Doesn't matter. It does matter.
You've gotten me obsessed.
So there you go.
And I know you're a man who appreciates history.
And obsession. Yes.
And obsession.
Yes.
And statistics.
Love it.
And all that kind of stuff.
Love it.
And by the way, if you're just tuning in, Phillies win yesterday. Are they now the best team in baseball again?
No.
Just because they won a baseball game.
No.
Are they the worst team in baseball because they lost four games? I'm never saying you never said that, but there are people that reacted like they suck, and they don't suck. So I went back to the last 3 Phillies teams that have reached the World Series.
Okay.
2022,
Okay.
2009, and 2008.
Yes.
In which they won the World Series. Where do you want me to start? You want me to go 2022 to back or
No, go 8.
You want me to go 08 first?
Yeah, go 8 first.
So they had, by the way, multiple 4-game losing streaks, but
Sure.
there was one of note in terms of this conversation, the amount of runs allowed. They allowed 25 runs in that 4-game stretch. So
Did
not
they lose all 4 at home?
So not 37. Yes, they did actually.
All 4 at home. Gave up 25.
Yes.
So 3 less a game.
Yes.
Okay.
And then there was actually at one point, not that this has anything to do with the 4-game losing streak conversation, there was a stretch where they went 3-11 in 14 games.
Was that late in the year?
No, it was in June.
It was in June?
It was in June. It was at home. They got swept by the Sox of Boston.
That's not good.
And then at home against the Angels.
Okay.
That was a part of the 3-11 stretch. They lost 6 straight games. Red Sox, Angels at home. That's bad. And that's
terrible.
That's the 08 Phillies that won the World Series.
They won it all.
All right, 2009, the next year. They had a 4-game losing streak where they allowed 30 runs, so not 37.
Home?
Let me double check that one for you. Yes, home against Toronto. Home against Toronto into a Baltimore series. These were all Blue Jays, then Orioles. And, oh, by the way, that was a part of a 6-game losing streak. But I'm looking at the 4-game stretch.
Look at the 4.
30 runs, all at home, 4-game losing streak.
So those are the closest ones. And I'm sure there were some bad teams.
How about 2022?
Which was a terrible.
And no, this was not when Joe Girardi was still the manager.
This is when Rob Thompson.
This is after they got back into our good graces, where they lost 4 straight games and allowed 34 runs during that stretch. 3 shy of
Where
the
were
stretch. Home.
And who were they with?
Atlanta
Was it Cubs?
and Toronto. The Blue Jays scored. No, I looked at that one,
I
too.
remember the Cubs sweep, wasn't it?
There was a bad one with the Cubs.
I
yeah.
thought it was a Cubs sweep or something like that.
Something like that. All right, they got swept by the Cubs at home where they allowed...
Right after the All-Star break.
Where they allowed 25 runs.
Yeah, and it was right after the All-Star break or something.
And 15 of those came in one game. Just like the...
Right.
What was in common with the 2008, 2009, and 22 teams?
They all got to the World Series.
They did.
And so that's why I am not overreacting, because I believe there was a lot of overreacting done in this 4-game stretch. It was bad, and I reacted to it that way, right?
Yes.
It was bad. There's flaws with this team. I don't think Max Kepler was the best addition this offseason. They need a center fielder. They need a right-handed bat. So, all those things that, people grouse over and think that I don't grouse about, I do. I say it every single day on the show. But that 4-game losing streak, I just went back to the last 3 World Series teams, and they all had one similar. 08 was the furthest one from it, with just 25 runs, but there was a 3-11 stretch.
And I thought of last year with that Yankees series was terrible.
Yeah.
I was down for 2 of those games, and it was
horrible.
It was awful.
That was bad for all sorts of reasons because they took over that stadium too.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, they let the Roaches come in and just took it over.
So all I'm trying to do is this does happen, and it's happened with Phillies teams that have made the World Series, and they were good baseball teams.
And again, I think it's fair. I'm listening to both of you. I think it's fair. I'm open-minded. I'm listening to both of you. But when I hear someone tell me it's just a 4-game losing streak, my listening ears go off.
It is
because
I'm giving you examples.
No, why are you so fixated on the 4-game losing streak and not the botched errors? I'm more concerned about those minor issues, not necessarily that they lost 4 games and allowed 36 runs.
I don't think their team defense and their bullpen, which were the glaring things that we're talking about.
No, in the 37 runs, 12 of them came from Luzardo.
The defense, there's 25 other runs we're talking about, Andrew.
Yeah,
25 other runs. That's 6.25 runs a game, which isn't good.
Yeah, and Jose Ruiz got cut because he sucks.
And so that's the bullpen, and their defense was horrendous. So I'm telling you is people are saying, and what they're upset about is they're going, this is a team that sat on their damn hands all winter.
Yeah, and I agree
and
with
said,
that.
roll it back.
But they've had these issues all year long so far.
By the way, one of the bad defensive plays, just to be clear, Weston Wilson, he's not going to be playing left field in the playoffs.
On Sunday, you lost a game because Sosa had a bad defensive play early. Weston Wilson had a bad defensive play, and Turner had a bad defensive play.
Yeah, and 2/3 of those guys are bench guys that had a play on a Sunday.
3 bad defensive plays cost you.
Yeah.
And one of them didn't even need to be in the lineup, but you had to have.
It was the lefty.
No, you had to have Dub in. It has to be in there because you couldn't possibly play. You can't possibly play Kepler out there, right? You can't give him a chance.
No.
Can't give him a chance, Rob, because you got to go the lefty-righty thing and the righty-lefty. You got to do that.
Hold on, I'll ask you. Is Kepler amazing you?
No, but Weston Wilson is not a major league player. He's not.
And Max Kepler's not the guy who was 6 years ago.
But he's like that's the totally different question. He's not a major league player, and you're some reason we're being force-fed him. I'd rather have the major league player every time. And more importantly, I'd like to see Max Kepler given the chance to just prove me he can't do it. Give him a shot more because I'll take the major league player every time.
I think he has been given a shot.
Not enough.
Lefties.
Not enough. Not enough, Rob.
He's in 205. It's better than Marsh.
Well, that's the truth.
It's good.
And there, we force-fed Marsh forever. So there you go.
Yeah, another O for yesterday. So yesterday was a big day in the NBA, and be prepared. This is going to be a wild off season in the NBA. And if you're an NBA fan, like, buckle up. If you're a Sixers fan, we'll see. Because I will say there are now all of a sudden rumors floating, and I will give you these rumors coming up later on in the hours. You're listening to 97.5 The Fanatic, WPEN HD1, Burlington, Philadelphia, Beasley Media Group station, broadcasting live from the Comcast Business Studio, powering possibilities. But yesterday, a major, shocking shakeup when the New York Knicks fired Tom Thibodeaux.
Yes.
I was amazed. They have been very successful, and I think every single national reporter that follows the Knicks, because New York's a market where even if they're bad, they're still talked about, right? It's much like the Dallas Cowboys in football. They all said it right. Every national reporter said it right. This is a team that was like an embarrassment for 20 years because they're supposed to be a historic franchise. They're the Mecca. They're New York. It's the Garden. And they were an embarrassment for 20 years. And he pulls them out of it.
And then they reward him by firing him after the conference finals?
Yeah.
I'm floored. But they obviously learned something about their team in the exit interviews that they didn't like. Every team does exit interviews where they bring you in front of the general manager, sometimes even the owner.
Yeah.
And the coach isn't there. They ask you questions. How'd you like playing for him? How did things go? And there must have been damning stuff on Thibodeaux. So you're going to let the inmates run the asylum?
Yes. That's what happens. We see it in hockey.
Oh, it happens all the time in hockey.
Right? Oh, well, we didn't like them.
That's why the average tenure in the NHL isn't even 3 seasons.
Right. That's why they start 4 games into a year and they get fired.
Torts is mean to us.
I don't get that.
He doesn't talk nice to us.
Maybe it's tough.
He's very critical.
It's got to be tough to play for Tibbs if you're a starter, right? You're playing 40 minutes a night.
Torts is Tibbs.
Right. I saw that a lot. Yeah.
He is.
I get it, but results, to me, results speak for themselves, right? And this wasn't like Dwayne Casey. Remember when Dwayne Casey got fired from the Raptors after being the 1 seed? Well, Dwayne Casey was losing in the second round of the playoffs. He got them to the Eastern Conference Finals. In year 1 after adding Mikal Bridges and Karl Anthony Towns. And remember, how many people that cover the NBA said that was a bad trade for the Knicks? They shouldn't have traded traded for Karl Anthony Towns. They got to the Eastern Conference Finals. Now, you texted me yesterday when this happened. The Knicks fired Tibbs after getting to the Eastern Conference Finals, and the Sixers made no change.
No, I'm saying, you said, is the Sixers, before the season's even, Daryl Morey's up there behind a microphone telling us, well, my job's safe. I'm fine. Everything's great. So the Sixers have the most disastrous season that they've had in 3 decades.
Yeah.
And everything's fine here. No change.
I've said it a million times. I'm cool with Nick Nurse still being here.
No. I understand that.
I was shocked.
The nonchalance
when Daryl Morey was not moved on from. I was shocked.
The nonchalance with which this season was handled is really, especially with the mismanagement of Joel Embiid from last year.
Well, and he said it on here with us. He said it with Mike. He said it in his press conference. Yeah, maybe I didn't handle the Embiid situation well. Maybe it didn't set a good tone for the season.
No,
most of us were saying that.
I said to Daryl Morey directly before the Olympics, he's not playing in the Olympics, right?
Yeah.
He's not playing in the Olympics, right? He's a guy who doesn't even play in the regular season. So he's not playing in an exhibition, right? No.
Well, they don't have the say on it.
No, they don't.
They don't have the say on it. That was Embiid's decision.
Inmates running the asylum.
So we'll check more text messages coming up next. But also, with the Knicks moving on from Tibbs, people are already starting to think about a familiar face to replace him. I feel like it's 2019 all over again, John. It is Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5, The Fanatic.
Mike Missanelli.
You can't do anything about physical errors.
and save the season. And the Eagles' reaction to Vic Fangio, we forgot to mention that Adam Schefter will be joining us coming up at 7:55 today for his normal Wednesday.
Love that. Right around the corner.
Can't wait for that. Amy Fadoul could not do yesterday because of family graduation stuff, so she'll be joining us for the 9 o'clock hour today. And even though there was news in the NBA yesterday that we reacted to last segment with Tom Thibodeaux, there was news at 97.5 The Fanatic yesterday.
What, we had news?
We had news. Bill Colarulo will be leaving the Mike Missanelli show in middays and will be manning our afternoon drive show Unfiltered with Ricky Batalico and Bill Colarulo. Congratulations to Bill. Congratulations to Ricky, even though he's still here. It's not like he went anywhere. And, we're excited for that. It starts next week.
I'm excited for both those guys and to Silvana for the new venture. And for those of you who've listened to Bill on with Mike, Bill is just one of those positive life forces.
Yes.
So it's going to be a lot of fun. And I think it's going to be really, really interesting. Bill's very calculating. Ricky's very raw.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to be really an interesting listen. And I'm really happy for both those guys.
Yeah, I'm excited for both of them. And, I talked to Bill a little bit yesterday. He's actually going to be joining us in studio on Friday for a little bit just to hang out, talk about the new show and everything. So congratulations to them. That starts on Monday. Mike Missanelli show obviously continues. Ray, a big part of the Mike Missanelli show. So excited for everybody and excited for another new chapter here at 97.5 The Fanatic. All right, so as we were talking about the New York Knicks yesterday, or last segment, excuse me, after they fired Tom Thibodeaux yesterday. Which
Still can't believe it.
Insane, considering that he took them. He actually took them out the mud, right? Like Paul Reed never did, but like they actually
climbed the polls in New York,
right?
Just for winning a second-round series,
and because it had been so long. Like I know we were joking around about this a few weeks ago, like. Would that happen here in Philadelphia? Yes, it would.
I hope not.
No, but it would because it's been 20-plus years. The Knicks fans did it, and then they fire the coach who got them there for the first time in the long. It's insane.
Okay, we've had some embarrassing fan displays in our history too, like when fans hit to the streets after the Eagles lost the Super Bowl.
That was weird.
Which was the stupidest thing. That's the worst, biggest black eye ever.
That was
when
weird.
you win a conference championship or you win a National League. I'm fine with it.
Yeah,
you win something. You win a banner.
Yeah, you lose. You don't party.
You get to the conference championship and you're celebrating.
Well, the goalposts have been moved for the Sixers. Like I don't. If they get to the Eastern Conference Finals, you're not going to be surprised when they do it, are you?
No, I'm going to be embarrassed.
You're not surprised.
If you're storming the streets and seriously, that's stupid. That's stupid.
I'll be Brent Musburger.
You know what it is?
Coming to you live from Broad Street.
That's the kindergarten graduation of
hell yeah, man.
Of graduation.
And you can play Pomp and Circumstances when my ass is on Broad Street. I love it.
It's the middle. Then we got kindergarten graduation. We got preschool graduation. We got middle school graduation.
I'm popping bottles for all of them.
Yeah, it's again, you don't celebrate for that.
John and I were talking off the air yesterday. I said, you do know that if the Sixers were to win the NBA championship,
I'm putting in for a week of vacation.
I will be so insufferable.
Oh, my God. You'll be the worst. You'll be first of all, you're holding on to this. Like, you've got magic beans.
They're one tank away.
They're one tank away.
You really do. You think you are.
Hey, this was the tank.
Now, look.
This tank got them there.
This could be. Now, I'm not saying in the future it couldn't happen. Like that maybe they come up with a plan that's somewhat viable. It ain't happening with what the cards they're dealt right now.
I would be so insufferable.
No, you'd be awful.
Honestly, what would be probably best for this station is to be like, yeah, Andrew, you're gonna be doing the show from that back studio, all right, and pretend like it's actually being broadcasted.
I'd just let you do it.
Give your cousin the fake video game controller.
Who a podcast because
the kids with the remotes with no batteries.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I could tell you that would be the absolute, because I think if you're talking the most insufferable part of a fan base that you love, and that you're part of your own city.
Yeah.
The most insufferable segment of the fan base is the ones that will not turn the lights out on the process.
Oh, I'm glad that I'm insufferable for
no,
you.
it is.
Only some of the fan base won a championship. It just happened to be because of a coach that, is linked to another job.
He's not linked to squad.
That's not true.
So thank you, Gunner.
That's not true.
Jay Wright, the names. Who's linking him? Other than the betting stuff that puts him as the second best.
No, there's
odds.
also people who are very connected to New York and that job that are saying if you don't think that he's already either been contacted or being talked about to it, that Jay Wright would be talked to by the Knicks. He's been talked to by the Knicks before. He's been out enough of the game that he potentially could be his life situation has changed since he stepped away from college basketball. And the college basketball game has changed too, part of what he's changed from. Would he consider it? Absolutely. Would he consider it? Sure. Why not consider it? He'd be great at it. He's great on TV though. And he gets to live a casual life. I don't know that I'd want it, but if you don't think he'd consider it, you're nuts. I consider it. He's absolutely, when that phone call comes in, if it hasn't already come in, he'd consider it. That's too big a job. It's too big an opportunity, and he's still a young enough man. What's he, 64?
Yeah.
He's still a young enough man that he could do that job for 4 or 5 years.
So I saw a tweet from Seth Davis yesterday, basketball Seth Davis.
Yeah.
And he said, I've been working with Jay Wright on TV for 3 years. Based on every conversation we have had, I would say there's a greater chance that I'll be the next Knicks coach than him. The difference is they won't call me. But
I would never do it if I was Jay. I'd never do it.
I just don't think it's going to happen.
I would never want to do it because when you get a taste of the good life, and he earned his time.
Hell yeah, he earned his time. Yeah,
and
I don't see it happen. Look, would it be cool? I mean, obviously not because it's the Knicks.
It wouldn't, because I wouldn't want to hate him more.
Right.
You know, it'd be terrible because I don't want to look him in the eye.
He'd bring the suit back to the court.
He would. Instead of like the athleisure look in the NFL, in the NBA, which I don't know when that started.
All right, coming up next.
Pat Riley is just disgusted.
Coming up next, we've been talking about how this offseason can be crazy. So I have been seeing rumors with the Sixers. We'll give you some of those. We'll check our text line on our Phillies and Eagles discussion as well. It's not going to be a Sixers show the rest of the way. Don't worry. But also,
so stay tuned.
I want to revisit something yesterday that you brought up about Embiid and, what you could maybe get for him. There's a different player that could be available, and there's a report on how little this team would get for him. And there's similarities to the two of them. It's Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
Harper makes a difference right away. I'm Brendan Gunn with your Fanatic Sports Update, and it's brought to you by Bet365. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Download the app today. The Phillies put an end to their 4-game losing skid as the Bats came alive in an 8-3 win over the Toronto Blue Jays last night. Not only that, but it was also the return of Bryce Harper, and he returned in a big way in his first at-bat. In the first inning, Trey Turner and Bryce Harper got the team on the board with back-to-back home runs, and they never looked back. Trey Turner also went deep a second time later in the game as well. Christopher Sanchez got the start on the mound. He went 6 innings, struck out 4, allowed 1 run on 4 hits. The Phils continue that series against the Blue Jays tonight. Mick Abel's going to be on the mound for his second career start. First pitch is at 7:07 tonight. The Phils have an off day today before wrapping up OTAs tomorrow. Prior to yesterday's practice, though, defensive coordinator Vic Fangio spoke, and he had some great things to say about Jordan Davis, who looks to build on his Super Bowl and NFC Championship pass rushing skills.
He showed it in practice first, and then it carried over into the games. And so I think he realized that, felt it, felt good, and he's just carried it over all off season.
Hopefully that continues. This update was also brought to you by Hand & Stone. It's glow time and you've earned it. Relax and renew at Hand & Stone Massage and Facial Spa. Their facials deliver some real results and soothing care. Now's the perfect time to start your Hand & Stone journey. Visit handandstone.com today. I'm Brennan Gunn on the home of the NBA Finals, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
6 here on Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic. All right, what do we got on the text line, Gunner? Before I give you maybe a comp to Embiid's value based off of a conversation yesterday, and then I'll give you some of the rumors that have the Sixers involved, or maybe you can put two and two together. Well, what do we got on the text line here, Gunner, on our Phillies discussion from this morning, which was about the win yesterday and John's feeling that this next stretch could go one way or the other. It's either going to be the stretch that carries them or the stretch where, all right, we're raising alarms. And I'm not there, but you are, and you had that feeling yesterday. I thought it was gas, but
yeah, I just had a weird feeling that it was going to be that this is going to be the launching off point. We're going to look back at this 4-game losing streak, and whatever happens from this point on, we're going to say either the season went in the crapper or it really was shrug the shoulders, nothing, and they take off and just tear off.
Which is where I've kind of felt, and then they had a nice win yesterday. What we got?
We got Stan and Yardley checking in, saying, like John said, it's not about the 4 games. Us as fans just did not want to see the lifeless efforts at home in front of sellout crowds. If they would have lost the games by a run or two or maybe had an ugly inning just here or there in each event, we would not be talking about it, especially after last night's result. The listless effort, though, that showed us they have a problem that's underlying with this team.
Okay, and then I went back. That text must have come in before the segment where I looked up the 4-game stretches in 08, 09, and 22, where they were very similar. And they were all at home, and it wasn't 37 runs, but it was 35 and 34, right? Like, it's happened before. I understand. It sucked. It's like
There's 25 and 34, I think it was.
The 2008 one was 25, but that was a part of a 3-11 stretch. So they lost 4 straight games at home where they allowed 25 runs, but that was a part of a 3-11 stretch. That's a bad stretch, right?
Terrible stretch.
That's a terrible stretch. 30 runs in the 4-game stretch in 2009. That was a part of a 6-game losing streak, but those 4 games amounted to 30 runs. And then 2022, the last time the Phillies went to the World Series, they allowed 34 runs in a 4-game stretch.
They were 21 and 29 that year in 2020.
Yeah, but no, as I said, that was during the. This was later in the year when.
Right.
Things were good. So this was not during the...
Right.
To make it clear, that was not the Girardi era.
Sure.
That was when everything was good, topper, dance on my own, all that kind of stuff.
Stop that.
So maybe that text came in before it would be my guess. All right, so yesterday we just sort of talked about... We had the email from Damien.
Yes.
And
would you not get out from under, if you had the opportunity to get out from under Joel Embiid and Paul George? Would you not do it?
Paul
You said
George,
no.
yes, not Embiid. And then we talked about, what we would be getting for him and all that kind of stuff. So you thought that if they trade Embiid, maybe they could get, like, picks and that kind
And more
of stuff,
importantly,
right?
anything I could do to get out from under Embiid.
Well, that's not what you were saying yesterday. You were saying it would have to be somewhat...
The smart deal.
Yeah, the smart deal.
Yes, get out get the money off the books as fast as possible. That's the smart deal for me. So whatever that takes, getting that money off the books, because you went and gave him a 3-year extension that doesn't begin till next summer.
So you don't care what you get? Because yesterday you cared.
Yesterday you did care.
I do care. I just told you what I care about, guys.
The money.
Getting the money off the books as fast as possible. That's the smart deal.
Yeah.
So whatever that is, get it. That's the smart deal.
So if there's only one deal, you would do it.
What do you say? If it gets it off the books fast, do it.
Okay, that's
fair. The smart
fair.
deal, because it's getting me on to the future, because this team is not winning anything as currently constituted.
Okay.
There's not going to be some miracle turnaround.
So
it's not a Disney movie.
There's a guy that covers the Pelicans that has done some research about Zion. I'm not saying that they're going to trade for Zion.
Well,
here's the
yes,
because Embiid has played 243 games in the last 5 years. Zion Williamson in the last 5 years has played 214, and that was missing an entire season, right? So if we're talking about availability, he's the best ability, and he's very talented, but he's never on the court, right? You can make those two as comps. Very talented, not on the court often, you name it. So the report coming out of New Orleans is that executives are telling him that the trade would be bad draft picks and bad contracts just to get him off the books. There will be teams who do not care, but those teams who do not care need to be sufficiently desperate, 1 to 2, that they're not going to give you a value. So you're going to get really bad contracts and likely no picks. If you do get a pick, it'll be a late-round pick or a second-round pick. And the example of players would be Andrew Wiggins and Duncan Robinson.
If I'm getting really bad contracts and they're fast, sign me up. Because I've got 3 more years after this one where I've got max money being devoted to a guy who I know is not going to be able to play more than like 50-some games.
So if the news came out today that the Sixers traded Joel Embiid to the Miami Heat for Andrew Wiggins, Duncan Robinson.
And I'm done when? I'm done with their contracts next summer?
Let me see.
That's what I have to know. Or am I done their contracts, one of them next summer, one of them the summer after that?
Let's see. Wiggins is under contract this upcoming year and then as a player option, which I imagine he's not passing up $30 million.
No, so it'll be 2 years.
At this stage
so you'd have
of
2
his
years
career.
of Wiggins. You have 2 years of Wiggins.
And Duncan Robinson signed a pretty big deal. Robinson is still... Oh, this is his last year.
Okay, then I'm no. I would knock someone over. I would be George Costanza at the kid's birthday party when someone says fire to get that deal done.
Oh, man.
Deal
that
done.
sounds horrible.
Oh, I'd be done. No, I'd be done. I'm done with one of them at the end of this year, and I'm done with one of them at the end of next year. And by the way, I may be able to flip Wiggins.
Now, here's
I may
a question,
not have to
though.
run that to the end.
If you allow Daryl Morey to do that deal, do you have to allow Daryl Morey to do the complete rebuild?
You're right. You're right. You would.
If it is a clean slate and I'm clear of this, yes.
When has he ever done that, though? Daryl Morey has been the guy that wheeling deals.
He made that known when he was on with Mike. This is his first time in the lottery.
It's his first time.
He's the most winning executive.
Oh, yeah.
He made that very clear.
He rattled all that off, didn't he?
Now,
by the way, he only likes talking to Mike. I know what it is.
No, he was on with me and Amy.
Yeah, you left early.
Nice?
You screwed it out.
Yeah,
He has graduation to get to.
Come on, let's do it.
Now, the other thing that I wanted to give you, and I knew this would happen.
What?
So, speaking of the time that Amy and I spoke with Daryl, I knew this would happen.
What?
Oh, I love the third. We have a player in mind, blah, blah, and I was like, Bull, like, you may have a player that you like, but there's no way that they are stuck with the third. Like, there's no way that third overall pick and there's no other options, right? So, there's sources that are saying that the Sixers are either willing to move that pick for another player, keep the pick, and take Ace Bailey, who is like the player that I think a lot of people point to for the Sixers, or even trade back. I don't think it is a lock that they are using that third overall pick. I never felt that way, even though Daryl Morey may have said it to us. That's great that you like players at 3. I'm sure you like players at 5 or at 6. I'm sure you also like veterans that you could trade for. And then obviously the Kevin Durant thing is still out there, and there's people that are still talking about the Sixers as a potential
If they do this,
spot.
I swear to you, if they do this, if they get older, my gosh.
Well, you were in favor of the trade because it would get rid of Paul George because you have to make the money
I want
work.
Paul George gone.
Yeah, so if it's Paul George and the third overall pick for Kevin Durant, are you happy?
But it depends on again, I'm looking at the long-term money. Are we then saying
Durant's only got 1 year left?
Does Durant agree to go anywhere without signing a new deal?
Good question.
I know you don't have complete control of that, but you know how the NBA works.
But he doesn't get to say that.
Unless the Sixers just want that expiring deal.
Well, if you're telling me that Durant doesn't get to demand a new extension, so we're not extending another one of the Golden Girls, then I'm fine. If you're telling me that you're getting Durant for what Durant has left on his deal, then I'm fine. If you're telling me that you're signing Durant to an extension, hell no. Enough of that. Can't do it.
Yeah, I don't think anybody should be giving Kevin Durant a multi-year extension. I mean, if you added one more and it's a 2-year deal, it's one thing because the guy's still playing at a high level.
Yes, he is still playing at a high level.
He was very good.
And he actually shows up for work most of the time.
Yes, which
is good.
That's true. All right, so there's some of your rumors with the Sixers and the NBA. Wild day yesterday with Tom Thibodeaux getting fired, man, after getting to the Eastern Conference Finals. Insane. All right, coming up next, we'll check a couple of our text messages. Also, John laughed at something during the show yesterday, and it made him want to maybe create a rule, or at least a guideline when it comes to how we remember certain players. We'll try to figure out who a legend is or what a legend is next. It's Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Connor Thomas.
Lazar's made what, 11th?
Salciunas 97.5, The Fanatic. Adam Schefter joins us in 15 minutes for his Wednesday hit. So Wednesdays with Shefty at 7:55. Real quick, does Spencer Strider stink? He doesn't stink, but is his arm just not there?
Well, his velocity isn't.
He had another rough outing yesterday. 5 innings, 6 hits, 5 earned runs, 3 home runs allowed. The one to Ketel Marte went out in like 0.1 seconds.
And it's crazy, but and you guys didn't even see the story. All season long. So you go to the press box down at Citizens Bank Park.
Yeah.
And former Braves manager, former Marlins manager, Freddie Gonzalez, has been in the press box. And he's been there scouting.
Yeah.
And doing stuff. And even there's been articles written about him here locally. He lives here locally in Malvern. Yeah. So I would see Freddie at the games and have a chance to chat with Freddie. I'm like, boy, it's like old times, Freddie.
Yeah.
Get to just, we get to renew acquaintances and everything. And it was really warming his heart. And I was wondering what was going on. And then Alex Anthopoulos hires him to be the third base coach because the third base coach of the Braves literally blew multiple games by not sending runners or sending runners incorrectly and literally fired him. They fired him and they demoted him. And they hire Freddie Gonzalez, who was the manager who got fired when Brian Snitker got hired, but not by Alex Anthopoulos.
Right. How about that?
So they literally, things are bad in Braveland.
Yeah, they've lost 2 straight. Strider just having horrible
His velocity is not good.
His only outing where he didn't give up multiple runs was against the Phillies, no less.
But they're 5 games under.
Braves are now 10 back of the Mets for first place, 9.5 back of the Phils, who are a half game back of the Mets for first place.
They've dug themselves a hole.
Yeah.
And they have a bad road trip coming up. Giants, Brewers coming up. That things could get worse.
Yeah.
Things could get worse.
Hey, that's good.
Let's keep the fingers crossed.
That'd be nice to see them getting buried more and more.
Bury the Mets, and people were, bury the Braves. Yeah, bury the Braves. Keep talking about it. Yeah,
bury the Braves.
Guess what? This is what you do.
Taking 2 or 3 was a good start the other day.
Dig enough of a hole, and teams sometimes start to spiral. You never know how a team's going to react.
All right, what do we got in the text line, Gunner? You can text the show at 610-632-0975.
We actually got somebody checking in on the Knicks coaching firing, and it relates it to the Sixers. He said the Knicks fired their head coach yesterday, and the first thing I think to myself is at least the Knicks ownership cares. Sixers ownership has not said anything about this disaster of a season yet, let alone fire anybody.
Now, the one thing I will say, and I saw Stephen A. Smith talking about this. Obviously, he's a big Knicks fan.
He is
dating back to before his
journalistic
career. Yeah,
and General Hospital.
Leon Rose, big part of that move, has been persona non grata. He hasn't said they put out a statement. That was it.
No, but he put out a statement of what he felt. I mean, do you hear anything from the Commanders owner? Seriously, I know you don't think it's a big deal, like that the Sixers owner doesn't is just absentee. That you don't think that's a big deal. I do.
I also imagine some PR person probably wrote the statement.
Why do you say that? Now, why do they see that? I don't think that's fair. I don't think that's fair to say that. That the guy you're saying he doesn't write his own statement?
All right. Well, you're saying at least it's a statement. If he doesn't get in front of a camera, if that happened,
maybe he couldn't get in front of a camera yesterday because he was doing something. Because they made the decision yesterday morning to fire him.
If you're going to make that decision, you got to be available, right?
No, I mean he's not the only one making the decision. He's the one who strokes the checks.
Okay.
The basketball people made the decision.
I still can't believe that they made the decision.
I can't believe it either.
We'll see how that plays out for him. All right, yesterday I told you that Ronald Darby officially retired from the NFL, and you laughed because
the person said
there was a person I saw on Twitter that called him Eagles legend Ronald Darby retired, and it made you laugh. And we've had this conversation
and
before.
we love Ronald Darby for what he did.
Absolutely.
We applauded him yesterday. We were running it down of all the things that he was great about.
But legend is
come on.
It's a bit much.
You got to stop with that.
So we then started talking off the air, like what, and even you and I see things differently, like winner, legend, all that kind of stuff, right? Like I hear like Allen Iverson is a legend
or elite.
Yeah.
You use that. There are words that are used in sports that get down.
So we have to figure out what this is, or maybe we try to, because it does. I don't know. To me, you don't have to win the championship to be considered a legend.
I agree with you.
Like Reggie White.
Allen Iverson is a Sixers legend. He didn't win a championship.
Right.
He is a freaking he is a Philadelphia sports legend in this town. He didn't win a championship.
Right.
But he's a legend. You don't have to be. You don't have to have won
Roy
it all.
Halladay, legend.
Yeah.
I mean, you did say in that same clip that Allen Iverson wasn't a legend.
Legendary performance. Legendary performance.
Allen Iverson is a Philadelphia legend. You said it. Correct.
He's a Philadelphia. When he walks the streets.
So
AI is.
Who? I don't know. Like, what does it have to be? I think Hall of Fame.
Hall of Fame player is one thing that really makes it is a big part of it.
Right.
I think too, though, is that the contributions that you made, Ronald Darby, and I'm not, because I'm a fan of what Ronald Darby did. Yesterday, I was singing his praises about what he brought to the table. But Ronald Darby was, for the most part, along for the ride on that championship team.
Yeah, I'm not. That's why I'm not calling him.
You can't be along for the ride and be a legend. Can't be.
Now I'm curious. There's a player.
You could have a legendary performance. You could be a guy. Joe Blanton had some legendary performances.
Legendary moment. Yeah,
legendary moments.
Is Carlos Ruiz a legend?
No. Chooch is not a legend. No.
He's one of the best catchers in Phillies franchise history.
Chooch is not a legend.
World Series champion.
No, not a legend.
No, I mean, again, because legend like Ryan Howard, Jimmy Rollins, Chase Elliott, those guys are legends. Now, here's an interesting one, because my father, anybody of his age, so, your demographic would tell me that this guy is a legend, despite him not being in a Hall of Fame.
Don't tell me Buddy Ryan. I'll vomit.
No, but this guy was a big part of a championship team. He's not in the Hall of Fame, even though he played with a bunch of Hall of Famers.
Who are you going to tell me?
Andrew Toney.
No.
I hear all the time how that dude is a Sixers legend.
No.
I unfortunately never had the chance to watch him
play. The Boston Strangler, Andrew Toney's great. Andrew lived, we would bump into him often. He lived near us in Atlanta. We would run into him.
Big part of that 1983 championship team.
Here's another one for you guys. Good old Claude Giroux. Is he a Flyers legend?
He should be. I don't look at him as one.
I don't either.
It was a lot of disappointment, but he was at times one of the best players in the NHL. He was one of the better players.
He was a top 10 player in the NHL.
Yeah, so
he was a top 3 scorer for 10 years.
So he probably should be.
But
I felt like there was a lot left on the table. Some of it not his fault. Some of it the organization's doing.
Some of it his fault.
Never had the right pairing.
No, he never had the right pairing.
The 1 year with Yager was his best season, and then that was the 1 year of Yager.
A sniper with him would have
been really. It would have been really nice. So that's not totally his fault.
It's not his fault. You know what though? I'll revisit that one and say yeah, probably.
He is. I just don't look at him as one.
By the way, he screwed the organization over on the way out the door.
Yeah,
which also plays into my thinking.
Gotcha.
That if you're a legend of an organization, on the way out the door, you don't pee on the couch.
Jason Peters then held to that same standard.
Jason Peters is a legendary performer, not a legend.
Whoa, he's going to Hall of Fame. Jason Peters is a legend.
No, he's great.
Jason Peters is a legend in Philadelphia. That guy's going to the Hall of Fame.
He's great. Great player. And
legend.
Again, I just look at the how you
HOF, dude. If you're in the Hall of Fame, you're automatically a legend.
Okay.
So what makes you a legend in your respective city? Obviously, we're talking about the Philadelphia sports scene.
I think when you exit an organization, you can't have an organization where literally on the way out the door you go, oh, by the way, I just peed on your couch, which is what Claude Giroux did on the way out the door. I don't think you can have that moment.
Interesting.
With an organization, or when a guy like Jason Peters goes, yeah, I'm going to hold you hostage and you're going to renegotiate my contract now.
HOF, man.
Yeah.
HOF.
Yeah.
All right, coming up next, Adam Schefter.
Amazing.
Adam Schefter joins us for his Wednesday hit. It's Kincade Salciunas 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports update.
Harper returns with a bang. I'm Brendan Gunn with your Fanatic Sports Update. The Phillies put an end to their 4-game losing skid as the Bats came alive in an 8-3 win over the Toronto Blue Jays last night. Not only that, but it was also the return of Bryce Harper, and he returned in a big way with his first at-bat in that first inning. Trey Turner and Bryce Harper got the team going with back-to-back home runs. Turner also went deep a second time later in the game. Christopher Sanchez got the start on the mound. He went 6 innings, struck out 4, allowed 1 run on 4 hits. The Phils continue that series against the Blue Jays tonight. Mick Abel's going to be on the mound for his second career start in the big leagues. First pitch is tonight at 7:07. The Eagles have an off day today before wrapping up OTAs tomorrow. Prior to yesterday's practice, though, defensive coordinator Vic Fangio spoke, and he had some great things to say about Jordan Davis, who Fangio says has been building on his pass rush skills that came to fruition in the NFC Championship game and the Super Bowl.
He showed it in practice first, and then it carried over into the games. And so I think he realized that, felt it, felt good, and he's just carried it over all off season.
Tomorrow marks the final day of OTAs. Next on the agenda for the Birds is mandatory minicamp, which opens up next Tuesday, June 10th. This update was brought to you by Macy's Backstage. What will you find at Macy's Backstage? How about essential warm weather styles, $30 and under, like dresses, shoes, bags, men's and kids looks. Find the latest trends, new arrivals, and great prices at Macy's Backstage near you. I'm Brendan Gunn on the home of the NBA Finals, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Hall of Fame baseball.
Salciunas on a Wednesday morning, which means, Johnny, time now for our friend Adam Schefter. He's brought to us by Landis Block. Create your very own jaw-dropping backyard paradise online at landisbc.com. And he's joining us on the Comcast Business Hotline. Every day in business is a big day. Let Comcast Business get you ready for what's next. Schefty, good morning.
Gentlemen, what is going on?
Honestly,
it's a beautiful day.
Honestly, it's a beautiful day, and there's not much turmoil in Philadelphia. I mean, once the tush push didn't get banned, it's kind of been quiet. It's been nice.
Have they stopped weeping in Green Bay, Atlanta, Los Angeles? Have they stopped the weeping?
I knew you wouldn't. You know, the good thing is I knew you wouldn't harp on that, John. So that's good.
Yeah, it was a nice celebratory time here in Philadelphia. So, look, OTAs obviously start, and we're still going to see if the Eagles finalize their roster. One thing of note that caught my ear yesterday when Vic Fangio was speaking was the status of Nakobe Dean. And he said yesterday that he's going to be out for a while. I have not seen a timetable on his injury or the normal timetable on his injury. It was a bad one, a gruesome one, and it happened in the playoffs. Any idea on how long Nakobe Dean could potentially be out with the Eagles?
Well, just a guess. If he's saying that now, my guess is he'd start the season on PUP, and he'd be out the first 5-6 games of the year minimum until they could start to bring him back. That's my guess. I don't know that, but when you're talking like that at this time of the year and saying those sort of things, that's the next natural step, that somebody would start the year on PUP and be out, roughly the first third of the season.
Now, with the we still can't get over the Huff deal from Friday, which was fantastic, because it's a player who I don't think anybody harbors any ill will towards him here in Philadelphia. He's not a guy that was considered a bad teammate or anything like that. It was just a bad fit. But Are there going to be veterans out there if the Eagles decide that they don't have enough? Do you think that there are still spare parts type guys out there that Howie could go shopping for?
Well, he's always looking at this time of the year for spare parts. The issue is, again, money. They have extra picks if they needed to make something happen, if they wanted to go make something happen. They're loaded with picks in the upcoming draft. I forget the exact number, but I think it's like 11 picks coming up, if I'm not mistaken. I'm pretty close. And so what will happen is there will be teams that go to camp, and there'll be certain guys that don't fit in certain places. And at that point in time, if you have an injury or certain guys don't perform the way that you wanted or expected, that's when you go make something happen. But I don't think even Howie, as much as he obsesses about this, is pouring over rosters right now. I think everybody is looking to kind of go clear their heads. It was a long year in a great way, and everybody kind of needs a little break away from things. So I think you do that, and I think you come back invigorated in mid-July, and you start really digging in and seeing if there's anything you need right now. I don't know of anything they're doing right now. Maybe they'll make a move today that I'm unaware of. That always could happen, but I'm not aware of him like targeting some player on a roster or doing something like that.
Schefty, last year I still remember after you did your tour where you went to a bunch of training camps, and I remember you telling us stories about Vic Fangio. You obviously have been able to talk to Fangio for a long time. When we were playing some of his clips this morning after his press conference yesterday, I think you can speak on this better than we can. He's very honest when he talks, and he felt pretty comfortable with some of the young players. Does Vic Fangio ever do coach speak, or is he pretty much straight to the point?
He's an old school guy, and he tells it like it is. And I think coaches always have to be mindful of what they're saying. And you have to be truthful, but you're not going to be fully truthful. But Vic's pretty honest guy. You kind of get a real sense of what he feels, where he stands. I could say it now. I remember going into last season, last summer, he sounded like the defense had potential, but wasn't there yet, and they had work to do, and clearly they got the work done. I mean, he's always worried. He's always thinking, this isn't going to work out. It's kind of the way that he thinks, and I think motivates him. But he's one of the great defensive coordinators of all time, and he and his players all came through last year, and it didn't turn out to be as bad as he thought it was last summer.
When you talk about this time before come back rejuvenated in July, now I know most teams shut down for around a 2-week period in July when coaching staffs and everything take time away. Can you tell folks a little bit about, now next week we have mandatory minicamp here in Philadelphia.
Right.
Tell us a little bit about how it looks when they really do shut it down.
Well, what happens, what's become increasingly more popular is, okay, so there'll be 3-day minicamps next week for a lot of teams, mandatory minicamps. And then typically, like, everybody's so excited to get to the summer break that the coaches canceled the last day, so it's really like 2 days mandatory minicamp in many places. And it's sort of like the feeling you had on the last day of school. Like, can you imagine the idea of contemplating more schoolwork or homework or tests when it was June 12th in school and you knew that you were breaking for the summer?
No.
No, you're trying to get the hell out that door and move on to your summer plans, whatever they are. Like, these people across the league, they grind all year long. And whereas a teacher, school ends and a teacher will be off until, let's just say, mid-August, coaches are off to mid-July. Front office, they're off mid-July. And so there's really like a month of supposed quiet because you never know what's going to happen, and hopefully nothing does. But it's a month for everybody to go reintroduce themselves to their families, to go have nice leisure time. I'm just thinking, the people that I've watched this for 35 years, they work so hard, and everybody does. Like, they're not unique in that. I don't want to make it like it's just unique to the world of football or the world of sports. Like,
sure,
there's so many people in this world who work hard. But what's unusual about this, this job is these people, they're working Labor Day, they're working weekends, they're not home with their family Saturday or Sunday, they're working Thanksgiving, they're working Christmas, they're working New Year's. And a lot of people, as hard as they work, don't do those things. They have the weekend to recharge during the year. They have holidays to gather with their families. And in the crazy world of football and sports, very often that's not the case. So when the people in these football organizations get a month off, a true month off, it's like, shut it off, shut it down, get away, because come July 20th, or whatever it may be, it's back on, and you're living in that building, and your weekends are gone, and you're not getting any consecutive days off if you get any days off at all. And that's just the way it goes. And that's not a complaint. That's just the reality of the situation. So that's why the people in the football world look forward to that period from June 20 to July 20, roughly, because it's their time.
Adam Schefter joining us here on the Comcast Business Hotline as you're listening to 97.5 The Fanatic, WPEN, WPN, HD1 in Burlington, Philadelphia, BZ Media Group Station, broadcasting live from the Comcast Business Studio, powering possibilities. Schefter, I want to go with the story outside of Philadelphia. No, not Aaron Rodgers, because I need a break from that. But yesterday, Brandon Aiyuk, and the reason why I bring up Aiyuk, you'll understand here in a second, posted a photo on his Instagram. And the 49ers are a team that we will keep a close eye on this year. They have a pretty weak schedule. Maybe they turn things around. He posted a photo that we know very well in this city. Johnny, I don't even know if you saw it.
I did.
It was of T.O. doing his crunches in his driveway back in 2005. Is there something to a story with Brandon Aiyuk? Because that's something that's been popping up the last couple of years with him and the 49ers.
Well, he got paid, and he tore up his knee. So my guess, I'm trying to. What does he go under Instagram? Because I don't even see Brandon Aiyuk. What's his moniker that I could find?
Oh, I don't know. I saw somebody else post it that I know pretty well that also covers the 49ers. And he posted the T.O. Picture when T.O. was doing
the push-ups, the sit-ups in the driveway.
In the driveway back in 2005 because he wanted more money. Now, to your point, Aiyuk got the money. I think
again, I didn't see the post, I haven't seen the caption, I haven't seen any of it. But just my guess is here's a guy who is trying to come back from a devastating knee injury, and he's gotten paid. He's not getting, the money's not a question there. So I think it's just, one of these players who likes to point out that he's doing the work. That's my guess.
Yeah, we don't see that from you. We've seen you shirtless on Monday Night Countdown. We haven't seen you putting in that kind of work.
Yeah. Well, I'm not doing surfs in my driveway usually, and we try to just keep doing our job, John.
You want to be amused if you have like 10 minutes to just be absolutely amused. They put out Sports Illustrated put out the coach quarterback combinations of the best quarterback coach combinations of the NFL. And I'm just going to ask you to speculate because I don't believe you've seen it. Where Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts ended up.
Well, first of all, let me just say this: it's June 4th or whatever today is. So those kinds of things are doing exactly what they intended to do.
Create the discussion, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I want to ask you though: is where do you think Sirianni and Hurts ended up?
Well, on this list, based on you asking me the question,
right?
I'm going to guess they wound up 18th.
No, 10th, which was still absolutely humorous. They ended up behind Dan Quinn and Jaden Daniels, which that's
a pretty good combination.
They're behind Dan Quinn and Jaden Daniels.
I don't judge it like that. No, the way that I judge it is Jalen Hurts and Nick Sirianni finished last season ahead of Dan Quinn and Jaden Daniels. They won a Super Bowl.
Oh, I do too. That's why I don't understand how the list. I think that they should be drug testing whoever's doing the list. How about this? Top four. Jim Harbaugh and his quarterback are on the list. Are you kidding me? I'm like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
These lists, you see, this is exactly what it was meant to do, and I took the cheese.
Yeah, you did, Johnny. You did what you told me to stop doing.
I took the cheese.
Well, you took the cheese, and I wouldn't even. Not only would I not even ordinarily bring this up, but I wouldn't even look at it. I don't care. It doesn't mean anything.
Don't worry, Schefter. During the break, I'll educate him.
Yes.
He needs the older statesman on the show to help him out.
Andrew usually loves these lists, and I did it for him.
Schefter, listen, man, we appreciate the time as always, and we'll talk to you again next week.
Thanks, buddy.
Guys, I appreciate it. Have a great week. We'll talk next Wednesday.
Yep.
Yeah, we'll do it then.
There's Adam Schefter on the Comcast Business Hotline, brought to us by our friends at Landis Blocker, your very own jaw-dropping backyard paradise, online at landisbc.com. Don't worry, we will get to that list.
I know. I did want to. I had to get Schefter's thought because I know he doesn't read, and people will not believe that. I've known from over the years he does not read this stuff. Like he doesn't care.
Does he have the time? Is another question.
No, I know. Exactly.
He's too busy making history to read it.
Exactly. Yeah,
he's got two phones.
Yeah, I don't think he's reading this kind of stuff.
And one's not the burner phone for the, I mean, it's,
For what, John?
No, he just doesn't have that.
For what? What would you need a burner phone for?
I don't know.
Today's headlines.
There's lots of them in sports.
Today's headlines with Brendan Gunn comes your way next. It's Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Philadelphia Union Soccer.
They play short here, quick.
14 on Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic. I just love that Brandon Aiyuk was posting the TO photo. What a wild time.
By the way, though, people around the 49ers do not believe that's the case, though.
What? That he's just
they
working
believe
hard?
That, yeah, they're...
Well, there's been...
They say he's a...
Aiyuk has had issues like every year.
Yes. And every year there's been like kooky... He's a kooky guy.
And before he got paid, he was talking about how he didn't get the ball enough and, you know, the Deebo Samuelson, they move on from Deebo. I think there's more to than just he's exercising. Maybe, you know, Schefter wants to say the right things.
Right, that could
in
be.
A situation like
T.O.,
that.
though, 1 year Philly legend.
Well,
based on
legendary
that 14,
performance, yes. I put T.O. in the Roy Halladay
Like,
category.
you still see a T.O.
what?
jersey from time to time down at a tailgate.
T.O. is in the Roy Halladay category, but he went further in the postseason than Roy Halladay ever did.
Here's the
That
thing,
is
man.
such a joke, John.
Here's the thing.
No, it's
with
not.
the T.O.
It's a
legendary
fact.
conversation.
That's a fact, but that's ridiculous.
Conversation with the T.O. legendary stuff is the fact that he played
On a broken leg.
on a broken leg and was the best player.
He was the best player in that Super Bowl 6 weeks after a broken leg.
Yeah. I remember this is random. I spoke with Chad Lewis, great tight end with the Eagles on that team, years ago. And he told me that T.O., the plate that they put in his leg to help sustain it, bent in the Super Bowl. He had to get it they had to repair the plate.
At the Super Bowl, the lead up to that Super Bowl. So I'm down there in Jacksonville, and we're doing it, and I'm obviously very enamored with it, even though I'm in Atlanta. I'm enamored with the Eagles being in it.
Yeah.
T.O. was walking with a gait about him. Like it was an uncomfortable gait, even when he was walking. And he was doing that hyperbaric chamber.
Yeah, I remember that, yeah.
And so the guy in Atlanta, because T.O.'s house was around 5 miles from our studio. So we're talking about how T.O.'s trying to get ready back from his broken leg, and I'm talking about it on the air. Well, the guy who had the hyperbaric chamber brought it to our studios.
No way, really?
And I got to use it. And it was unbelievable.
I bet.
I came early for the show, got to use the hyperbaric chamber. It was honestly, because I can sleep anywhere, it was the best sleep I've ever had in my life.
That's interesting.
Like, it's unbelievable. Pure oxygen.
Good for T.O.
Like sleep. And
he balled out in the Super Bowl.
He did. He was the best player on the field.
All right, it's time now for today's headlines with Brennan Gunn.
Today's headlines with the one and only Brendan Gunn.
Brought to us by who?
The one and only Lundy Law. For over 70 years, Lundy Law has been fighting for injured people. If you need them, remember the name Lundy Law, your injury lawyers. Visit LundyLaw.com. That's LundyLaw.com. And today we're going to take a chance in headlines to dunk on the New York Giants. We had Kayvon Thibodeaux appear on this great Philadelphia legend Kevin Hart's podcast that goes by the name of Old Spice Presents Cold as Balls. What a great concept.
They do the ice tubs, and
Ice
they do
tubs.
a podcast.
So great. And this complete bust of where he was draft picked so far decides he's going to take a shot at the Philadelphia fans. So let's take a listen to it, and let's just laugh at this guy.
Is it true that Eagles fans are actually, not smart? Not, no bullshit. I know you're one of them, so I get it. 2.2, I get it.
What do you?
They're, statistics that you guys are, literally...
I mean, can I?
Yeah.
What is he talking about?
So I hate Kayvon Thibodeaux, and that has nothing to do with it. A couple years ago, I still remember when he knocked out Nick Foles and then was laughing that he put him to sleep. You're a bad man. Now, I'd be terrified if he's coming off the edge at Jalen Hurts. I'll be honest. I still think he's a good football player.
He's the third guy at their position now off the edge.
But when he did that with Nick Foles, I get it, Nick Foles is our guy. If it was any quarterback, right? If it was Case Keenum, and you're doing the sleep thing after you knock the guy out, and then say, "Oh, I had no idea he was asleep," or "I had no idea that he got knocked out." Get the hell out of here.
Do you know this has been his whole thing since college?
He's smarter than everybody.
You remember this?
Yep.
I'm smarter than everybody.
Yeah.
He had this whole thing about SEC players. I'm not. I'm smarter than these SEC players. When you're at Oregon, you're not a dope. And then he was challenged on the air, live on television. Greg McElroy said, "I'm ex-SEC. I'll take your IQ test, Wonderlic test. I'll go up against you anytime you want." And he cowered down like an absolute coward.
I bet.
He's talk all your crap that you want, dude. He's you're just generalizing on people, and he's an ass.
Ironically, on the same day he was on this podcast, his new teammate, Cam Scatterbo, Arizona State legend,
running back,
appeared on Amon-Ra St. Brown's podcast.
Uh-oh.
And they were showing him pictures of legends in the NFL that everybody should know. And I cut two of them out, and he has no idea who these two guys are. If you're in the NFL, if you're a sports fan, you got to know these two guys. Take a listen to Cam Scatterbo, not knowing who two legends are, Hall of Famers.
I got no idea who this is.
There's no way. When were you born?
2002.
He's an 02 baby. You just tell me you don't know who that is. This is making me sick, bro. Wait,
I feel like I know his face, but I don't know. I can't tell you
One
his
of the
name.
best receivers to ever play the game of football. He played for the Lions.
Is Megatron?
Yeah.
Is he?
Oh my God.
The bottom one's a quarterback too?
Yep.
I have no idea who that is.
Brett Favre. I don't know if you've heard of him.
That's
Are you
long.
serious?
I mean, I've heard of him, of course, but I couldn't tell you.
You got to check
Wait a
it
minute.
out.
Wait a minute. Is he showing just pictures? Is he showing just pictures of their faces?
Megatron in their uniforms.
Oh, whoa. In their uniforms.
And then the Brett Favre one was him on draft day.
Okay.
Had no idea who he was.
Yeah, you gotta know who those guys are.
Okay, in the uniform, yeah, that's different.
Yeah, you gotta know.
You're talking about an all-time great there. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, he's gonna average 2.5 yards.
But we're the
per
dumb
carry.
ones, Kayvon Thibodeaux.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
My God. All right. Good job, Gunner. That's today's headlines. All right, coming up next, did hell freeze over? John Kincade sent me a rankings list.
On purpose.
Yeah, You heard him bring it up with Schefter.
I had to get Shefty's thought because he's smart.
I know our YouTube chat has been chiming in on the quarterback ranking list. So we will go through it.
It's unbelievable.
Quarterback and coach pairing
it's a
ranking
pairing list. Yes.
We'll go through this coming up next. It's Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
Harper returns in a big way. I'm Brendan Gunn with your Fanatic Sports Update. The Phillies put an end to their 4-game losing skid as the Bats came alive in an 8-3 win over the Toronto Blue Jays last night. Not only that, but it was the return of Bryce Harper, and he returned in a big way in his first at-bat. In the first inning, Trey Turner and Bryce Harper got the team on the board with back-to-back home runs. Trey Turner also went deep for a second time later in the game. Christopher Sanchez got the start on the mound. He went 6 innings, struck out 4, allowed 1 run on 4 hits. The Phils continue that series against the Blue Jays tonight. Mick Abel's going to be on the mound for his second career start. First pitch is tonight at 7:07. season. The Eagles had an off day yesterday before wrapping up OTAs tomorrow. Prior to yesterday's practice, though, defensive coordinator Vic Fangio spoke, and he had some great things to say about Jordan Davis, who Fangio says has been building on his pass rush skills that came to fruition in the NFC Championship game and the Super Bowl.
He showed it in practice first, and then it carried over into the games. And so I think he realized that, felt good, and he's just carried it over all off season.
With OTAs wrapping up tomorrow, next on the agenda for the Birds is mandatory minicamp, which opens up next Tuesday, June the 10th. This update was brought to you by Groundworks, your expert for basement waterproofing and foundation repair since 1997. Book your free inspection today at groundworks.com. I'm Brendan Gunn on the home of the NBA Finals, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Fanatic Weekend with Andrew DiCecco.
Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic. All right, so earlier when we had Schefter on, and you can hear that again on 97.5thefanatic.com or on our YouTube page, just search 97.5 The Fanatic, or you can also watch the show, watch the Mike Missanelli show as well, and then, of course, post-show headlines with Johnny and I. You brought up this list. So Sports Illustrated did a ranking of all 32 teams with the head coach and the quarterback.
Well, they ranked all the coaches from 1 to 32. Then they ranked all the quarterbacks from 1 to 32. And then they added the numbers together.
Correct.
And then the lowest numbers was so the lower the number you had, the better you were.
So there's no handicap, like nuance, if you think this quarterback is exponentially better than the other quarterback.
So for example, the number one was Reed Mahomes.
And I think Reed Mahomes, if anybody's arguing with that.
Right. And Reed and Mahomes were both number one in their respective
Their
ranking.
score was 2.
Yes.
Okay, so
that's good.
So the quarterback can't outweigh something. Say he was paired with a terrible coach or whatnot.
So the Ravens were second, Harbaugh was fifth, Lamar was third, so their score was 8.
So it went 2 to 8. So there was a huge jump there.
Yeah.
2 to 8.
So
then
it was Chiefs 1, Ravens 2, Harbaugh, Lamar. McVay and Stafford came in at number 3.
Which I can say if you're talking about them being like top 5, 6, maybe. Yeah. Oh, my gosh.
Jim Harbaugh and Justin Herbert.
It's unfreaking believable.
Coming at number 4.
It's unbelievable.
Obsession with Justin Herbert is unbelievable to me.
I truly.
I don't think he's trash.
He's had, how about this? His playoff numbers in 2 playoff games. If you went 2 playoff games, he is a bottom 5 all-time quarterback with 2 playoff starts. Bottom 5 all-time, 2 playoff starts.
And where do they have Harbaugh ranked as a coach?
7th, and Herbert 8th.
So they're 15.
After 1 year back in the NFL, he's top 7.
By the way, I think he's a great coach.
I think he's a great coach too. But
I think
after 1 year,
Jim Harbaugh to me is a top 8 coach minimum always.
Yeah, but then that's how we get to the Eagles, who come in 10th on this list. Nick Sirianni was ranked 13th.
That's a joke. That's a joke to me.
It's unbelievable.
Hertz was ranked 9th behind Herbert, which drops their or adds to their total of 22, which puts them at 10. Here are the teams in front of them.
The one that pissed me off.
Cincinnati's at 9. Now, Burrow is the reason why, because they have him 4th. They have Zach Taylor 16th.
Right.
The Commanders at 8. Dan Quinn was 14th. Jaden Daniels was 5th, which 5 already for Jaden Daniels.
Oh, my God.
He had a hell of a season, and I think he's got a bright future in front of him. But
I'm telling
this
you
goes
right
back
now,
to the CJ Stroud.
It's going to be.
He's not even throwing at OTAs because his shoulder
Stroud,
hurts.
yeah.
This is going to be CJ Stroud, Jordan Love again this year. There's not going to be. He's not a terrible quarterback. He's going to have an amazing career. There's going to be a regression.
The amount of people that just cannot admit that they were wrong about both Sirianni and Hurts is ridiculous. The double down after double down after double down that has Hurts at 9 and Sirianni at 13 is a complete disgrace. Just admit you were wrong.
You wonder why people go broke at casinos? This is it.
Because they double and triple down.
I'm going to keep on. Yeah. I'm going to make up the money but I'm going to go double this hand. That's what happens.
Now, the one difficult thing about this list is realizing that like Sirianni being 13th and Hurts being 9th is ridiculous.
Sirianni 13th is wild.
But they have the Bills at 5 because Josh Allen was the second best quarterback, but Sean McDermott they had at 15th as head coach. So it is a hard it's a hard list to try to follow if you're listening to it. If you're reading it, it's a little bit easier to pay attention to. So like Josh Allen
carried Sean McDermott.
Correct.
But Josh Allen's second, Jalen Hurts 9th?
Yeah, that's crazy. That's a big
Are you serious?
And look, I'm fine with saying Josh Allen ahead of Jalen Hurts. I feel comfortable saying it.
Josh Allen, who has come up small.
Yeah.
Every opportunity he has to beat that he has on the big stage to beat a guy
who Hurts
like Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
And Patrick Mahomes against Jalen Hurts on big stages, Jalen Hurts rises his level of performance.
Yeah, thank God they don't give you rings and Super Bowl titles for getting top on this list or being the guy with the long hair and a big arm and being 6'5".
Right.
Because then we'd be screwed.
And bad
but
skin.
thankfully, it's about how good you coach and how good you play quarterback to lead your team to a win.
So I, for once, turned off the list right away. But
so did you?
We'll talk about it. And here's
Good.
why. Again, because the math and how it works out. Whether you want to agree that Mike Tomlin is still the second best coach in the NFL, that's a conversation for another day, right? But they put Rodgers down as the 16th best quarterback, and the math puts them as 6th.
How can they do that? Because he's not even a Steeler.
He's not even on. Yeah, he's not even on the team. It's probably, as Schefter said, it's summertime and people were trying to find content. So like I can't get too angry with this list when some of it's just stupidity. The Steelers, Tomlin Rodgers is not better than Sirianni and Hurts. Like
it's not.
End of story. You know what I mean? Like I can't.
Rodgers
even, I can't
years
even.
ago.
I can't even
This
get
is
angry.
not 2010 when they were in the Super Bowl against each other.
Like
it's 2025.
I can't even really get angry over that one. What I will look at is, all right, where do they put Sirianni? Where do they put Hurts? And the fact that they have Sirianni at 13 and Hurts at 9 is crazy. And the reason why Sirianni's at 13 is because they're going to say, oh, well, he doesn't call the plays. And the reason why they put Hurts at 9 is, oh, he got carried by the run game. By the way, they do have their reasoning. The Super Bowl champs are loaded once more, and after extending Sirianni this offseason, Hurts and his coach are locked in for years. The Eagles got middling play from Hurts in 2024, who threw for under 3,000 yards, 18 touchdowns, although he did run for another 630 and 14 touchdowns.
Tell me you just looked at a stat sheet and didn't watch the damn game without telling me you just looked at a stat sheet and didn't watch the damn game.
That's exactly what it is. And oh, by the way, they said with the help of the tush push. So maybe this person doesn't like the tush push. Like, look, I get it. It is fodder for summertime, but the fact that Sirianni is outside the top 10 after winning the Super Bowl, that's insane.
They've been to 2 Super Bowls since Aaron Rodgers or Mike Tomlin have been back to 1. As a matter of fact, the last time either of those guys was in a Super Bowl, those kids that were born that year can now drive a car.
Man, they've been in 2 Super Bowls since Rodgers been in the playoffs. Or been to 2 Super Bowls since Rodgers been in the playoffs, right?
Correct.
Wasn't in the playoffs last year. He got hurt the year before that. Like, it's
unbelievable.
I'm fired up about that list, dude.
Isn't it terrible?
Make sure you listen to Brendan Gunn this weekend.
Isn't that terrible?
That's awful, man.
That's awesome. All right, coming up next, we'll get some reaction to that, but also random. Do you ever feel bad for a great player stuck on a bad team? We'll discuss this next. It's Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
We want to hear from you.
So text us at 6. Salciunas, 97.5, The Fanatic. All right, let's get a couple of text messages here on our topics this morning as Gunner is fired up in there after the ridiculous quarterback rank.
That's an awful list, man.
It really was.
You can text the show at 610-632-0975. Of course, with all due respect to, let's see, what's this guy's name? Matt Verder.
Menarek?
No, Matt Verderame.
Matt Verdame?
Matt Verdame.
Yeah, Matt Verdame.
Verderame.
I don't know who that is.
With all due respect to him.
Yes.
What do you got on the text line there, Gunner?
We got Bruce checking in saying fans can say, quote, the Commanders never would have won if Hurts was playing, end quote. And everyone agrees. And no one says the talent around the other players that the Eagles have all over the place and they should have still won. But Harper not being in the lineup doesn't matter to them because the team still has other players that are talented that are supposed to make up for it. Harper absolutely makes the difference, and the Phillies do not get swept if Harper's there.
The Phillies are better than the Milwaukee Brewers with or without Harper. Take Harper off the Phillies, they are the better roster, period. Period.
But
they're the better team.
But him not being in the middle of the
you lose by that many runs? It's pathetic.
And then again,
stop making excuses, people.
I know, but my thing is, I brought up the last 3 times the Phillies were in the World Series, they had similar stretches, so it happened. And that's why I did not have the same reaction.
It is the worst home losing streak of 4 games in your lifetimes. So no,
by 3 runs.
It is the worst
by 3 runs
in your lifetime.
Okay, by 3 runs, and it was by 3 runs when they went to the World Series last time.
It is the worst in your lifetimes, and it is definitely not normal, and it does not happen often. By the way, it has happened 6 times in 32 years, so it's not normal. This is not something that happens all the time. And by the way, that also includes when you have a lot of bad teams. When you have a lot of bad teams,
right? And that's why when you say the Rockies also did it this year,
yes.
But I can't come close to comparing.
Well,
the
that's
Phillies
why you
to the
should
Rockies.
never. Well, you should never be in anything. This Phillies team with this lineup, with this payroll and everything, should never do anything that is even close to the Rockies. They should never be even in discussions with the Rockies. They should never wet the bed and look so listless and look so disinterested as they are. They should definitely be held to a different standard. And I think that's just what fans want.
Now,
a little more energy.
Now, hold on. Let's just, in fairness.
Okay.
Because you keep on bringing up the 37 runs.
Okay.
The 17 runs was a blemish. But the rest of the 2 games in the Brewer series, 6 and 5, isn't like horrible.
No, not terrible.
And that's what I'm saying.
Not terrible. 11, still 5.5 runs a game at home. to a Brewers club.
And then
Brewers club's
you're
not terrible.
taking into consideration.
By the way,
I don't think the Brewers
they
are bad.
won 6 straight coming into that series.
Brewers are not a bad club. They're a mediocre
And those
baseball.
30
they're a mediocre baseball team.
The 30 runs you're counting is talking about the last game of the Braves series.
the Braves
too,
where
right?
they
That's
lost
Zach Wheeler
9-3.
having one off game. Zach Wheeler started that last game, and he's not going to do that every time. In fact, that's the anomaly.
Yeah.
It is the anomaly. And when you have the anomaly over 4 games, that's odd. It is the idea of this team, when they go cold, what have you seen over now 4 seasons? Well, 3 seasons, we should say, because we haven't seen this one play out yet.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen them, when they go cold, they go ice cold.
But when they're hot, they've been the best team in baseball for 2 consecutive months.
But we're not talking about. We're not talking about winning. 90 games should not be the celebration.
It's a matter of just being the best baseball team in October instead of June.
And we're talking about the problems that will cause you to lose in October were on display this past week.
Yeah,
that is the problem.
And they were on display in a week in June in 2022 when they got to the World Series.
And it's fine. And then it cost you in the World Series.
Well,
so you got to fix these things.
They lost to the better team.
People want. You didn't lose. Okay, you didn't lose to the better team in 23, and you didn't lose to the better team in 24.
Okay.
So let's turn the pages.
They didn't have those 4-game
so
losing
let's turn to
streaks
these
in
two.
23
Let's
and
turn to
24.
those pages. The same problems. You can't ignore the problems. That was what the people are annoyed by.
But the same highs, though, if you get those highs that you had to begin last year and to begin this year, and you place that in late September and October, and you ride that out, then you can win it all.
No, because you're not playing the Rockies and the Marlins and all those teams.
They're
you're
playing
not
the
playing
Dodgers,
them in the playoffs.
who they beat this year.
They did win a series against the Dodgers, and that's a great, great thing. And you're hopefully going to be able to pull these things off. You're going to get your 90 wins, and you should win. 90 wins should not be like, woohoo! We won 90.
No,
not with this payroll. Not with this roster. 90 wins should be, we did what we're supposed to do. Now win in the playoffs. Now go win. But the alarm is that this team is nonchalant. And the owner handled the last offseason nonchalant. The manager handles everything nonchalant. The general manager, even as soon as last week, everything's nonchalant.
Well, let me ask you this. Can they do anything in the regular season that's going to change your mind on that?
They could go and make, yes, they could go and make moves. They could go and say, we are going to address this. We are going to be aggressive. We are going to do things because we know we're not good enough.
You have to wait 8 more or 7 more weeks for.
But you can address
that. But the defense is not going to change. Like Trey Turner's still going to be a butcher.
He did not. Well, then what you can say is that we don't have to have a butcher at shortstop. You know what we can put somebody who's better at shortstop, who is by the way, I heard Mike say it the other day. The second baseman is better. Kevin Stocker talked about it the other day on the broadcast. That you absolutely have a second baseman who can play shortstop. You have a second baseman who can play shortstop. He's younger. He has better range. He has a more reliable glove.
That line drive that he caught yesterday was a hell of a play.
Now, the only thing is, though, here's the only argument against it. Do you want to take a Gold Glove level second baseman? And I think that Stott, you can argue, is a Gold Glove level. Mm-hmm. He's in that argument. Do you want to take a Gold Glove level guy away from there? Like that's
if it improves your shortstop position, which you
but does it weaken you then? Does Trey Turner then weaken you?
Does Trey Turner weaken you at shortstop?
Well, he does.
You know, like
he does. He's
I don't think about
I had this guy.
One way or another, a guy's going to be better at one position than the other.
I had this guy giving me the next level stats. He's giving me, there's look at this next level graph that says Trey Turner's a really good shortstop. I'm like,
you keep like
you don't need to show me any.
You scoff at this idea of his mental stability as a baseball player. Obviously, that's all I'm talking about.
Dave Dombrowski spoke on it himself about that.
If you move Trey Turner to second base, does that screw up what he's doing at the plate? Because he gets in his own head.
And there was, I'll try to find it. There was a clip that started circulating this week about that, where Dave Dombrowski said it himself. Like, we don't want to.
What's the balance of?
And he mentioned offense as well. It wasn't just the fielding. I'll find it.
By the way, his offense, I got no issue.
Yeah, hitting over 300.
Trey Turner, to me, this is the best year they've gotten out of him.
He's hitting over
of the 3. This is the best. But
he was good last year. He was good last year.
No, but this
playoffs was the bad stain. Horrible stain.
But this has been the best season they've gotten out of him because there hasn't been the giant gaping 3-week, 4-week slump.
Right.
We haven't had that. We've had a consistent approach. That's better, and that's praiseworthy. but he's a butcher in the infield.
Yeah, that is true.
And they got to address these things.
All right, coming up
don't.
next, Amy Fadul, who's in house. I see her. There she is. She's joining us for the rest of the show. So we'll reset some of our topics with Amy. And again, I got to get to it. Do you ever feel bad for a good player stuck on a bad team? It's Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
Bryce Harper returns, and Bryce Harper does Bryce Harper things. I'm Brendan Gunn with your Fanatic Sports Update. The Phillies put an end to their 4-game losing skid as the Bats came alive in an 8-3 win over the Toronto Blue Jays last night. Not only that, but it was the return of Bryce Harper, and he returned in a big way in his first at-bat. In that first inning, Trey Turner and Bryce Harper got the team on the board early with back-to-back home runs. Turner would also go deep a second time later in the game. Christopher Sanchez got the start on the mound. He went 6 innings. He struck out 4, allowed 1 run on 4 hits. The Phils continue that series against the Blue Jays tonight. Mick Abel's going to be on the mound getting his second career start in the big leagues. First pitch is tonight at 7:07. The Eagles have an off day today before wrapping up OTAs tomorrow. But prior to yesterday's practice, defensive coordinator Vic Fangio spoke, and he had some great things to say about Jordan Davis. Fangio says Davis has been in the building working on his pass rush skills that came to fruition in the NFC title game and the Super Bowl.
He showed it in practice first, and then it carried over into the games. And so I think he realized that, felt it, felt good, and he's just carried it over all off season.
After the OTAs wrap up tomorrow, next on the agenda for the Birds is mandatory minicamp, which opens up this coming Tuesday, June 10th. This update was brought to you by WhatsApp. On WhatsApp, your personal messages stay private because your personal messages are yours. No one else can see them or hear them, not even WhatsApp. WhatsApp, message privately with everyone. I'm Brendan Gunn on the home of the NBA Finals, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Vacation? Business trip? Don't worry. You can still hear all your favorite Fanatic.
here on Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic. What do you guys talk about during commercial breaks? Bagels. Good morning, Amy.
Good morning, everyone.
It's just funny.
Happy Bagel Wednesday.
We were talking about bagels and how there are better bagels.
There are.
That's a thing.
Yeah.
You guys were talking about a spot in Virginia. North Jersey's better.
In Charlottesville, Virginia, I had one of the best bagels I ever had. And
Bodo's Bagels.
Amy knew exactly, of course, the place.
Yeah,
that's hilarious. Well, Amy, welcome in.
Hey,
thank you for joining us. The Phillies season is saved because they won a game yesterday after the 4-game losing streak that caused the city to burn.
I mean, maybe just this chair over here to burn.
No, John was not. No, John was not.
I didn't make any judgments on the whole thing, but I defended the people who were certifiably pissed off at a 4-game losing streak at home when they gave up 37 runs.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's skewed by that 17 to 7. I think to me, 3 errors in a 3-game series is really what's going to stand out more so than even the 17 to 7. I just throw that out. That's a day. That's just a wow.
What was
the
it?
Wheels really came
didn't
off.
they last year the All-Star break? The A's.
It was
how many runs did the A's score right before the All-Star break?
It was a 19 to
7. Was just
19 to 7.
The games on the either side of the Saturday blowout were problematic because it was runners left in scoring position.
Correct.
Defensive miscues, just real kind of lapses in both plate discipline and actual defensive discipline. That was to me Sunday really was glaring out because that was a game that was
especially
won.
After you lose
you
Saturday
exactly.
by the way that you did. You go, all right, bounce back spot, right?
Let's try to really button it up, and they just did not.
Yeah, and then they buttoned it up yesterday, and it was a great start. And Bryce Harper back in the lineup, I do think
it makes a huge difference.
Yeah, it makes a huge difference.
The guys have talked about that too.
And I get John was saying that maybe it's a little weak for some of the players to have pointed that out.
I mean, they were asked.
Without Harper.
They were asked. It was asked, how different is do you think pitchers approach your lineup with or that was the question. With or without Bryce Harper? Of course it's different. Of course he makes a difference.
Of course we're going to see different pitches, but
if he doesn't do anything. And that's what Trey Turner said. We still need to pick it up.
Yeah.
Even if he's not in the lineup. We cannot rely on one man alone, which is true. Well, aside from Schwarber.
Yeah. Well, aside from Schwarber. You lose Schwarber, you're in a lot of trouble. But yeah, I mean, look, the Phillies winning yesterday was, again, I was upset with the 4-game losing streak and the weekend against the Brewers, but I just could not have the same energy that a lot of people did because I also know that the people that freaked out, right, I don't think they're celebrating yesterday's win. You know what I mean? I try to keep the same energy as much as possible. The Phillies might win 5 in a row, and the people that groused as much as they did won't.
And I say don't hide. Don't hide those days.
Right.
You got to
yesterday was a great win, and right away the first person that tweets at me goes, "Yeah, well the Blue Jays pitcher stinks."
Yeah.
And my thing is, if that Blue Jays pitcher shut out the Phillies, you'd go, "How can't they hit this guy?"
He's terrible. Yeah.
And so
it's like when they were winning and they were beating the A's and the Rockies.
If they were losing to the A's and the Rockies, you'd be upset that they were losing to the A's and the Rockies.
You have to beat the teams that are below you, and if you deem all these teams below you, like the Blue Jays pitcher was terrible, well then good.
Yeah.
You're supposed to win that game, in your opinion. So I don't know why you get salty about it.
I think a lot of people will say, though, is that you're not going to judge this team, though, on what they can do against crappy teams because those aren't the teams you got to beat when it counts.
I got you.
Is that I'm not going to learn. You're not going to learn as much as you're going to learn. You've won a series against the Cubs. You've won a series against the Dodgers. You pooed your pants against the Mets. Now we're going to see. We got some big series coming up. We got the Mets coming up in a couple weeks.
Yep.
We'll see how you do with that.
But the thing is, I still can't even. Again, this is me. I can't fully judge this team until post deadline.
Right.
That's fair. I think that's very fair.
Because we don't know what the team is going to look like.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. We all think that there's going to be multiple additions.
And if there aren't, Dave Dombrowski will hear it. I will not be happy. We talked about this the other day. I will go live on Instagram at 6:01 if he doesn't make a move before the trade deadline, and I will be furious. But
what are you expecting?
Two bullpen
arms.
Two bullpen arms and a righty bat.
They have to have a right-handed bat.
So they're going to go out and they're going to try to correct mistakes that they corrected last trade deadline.
Correct.
It doesn't make any sense to me. They broke something that wasn't broken.
Well, okay. I understand that it doesn't make sense that they broke something that wasn't broken.
He only needed to get rid of one of them.
But look, if they do add, you'll be happy.
No, I'm going to be thrilled if they do. But I mean, I don't understand the whole offseason plan.
It made no
sense. I still don't understand it. And the lack of urgency when I hear Dave Dombrowski talk, there's no urgency at all. The improvement's going to come from within? I mean, I'm like, what? What do you mean the improvement's coming from within?
It does need to come from within, but you also have to bolster it. I mean, there's just no doubt about it.
You also have to realize
everybody has to be better. But
you have to realize who you're trying to improve. Like Kepler, Marsh, Rojas,
they are who they are.
JT at this stage of his career.
They are who they are.
Bohm's lack of power. Stott being an average, like a batting average hitter. Like, these guys are who they are. So if you're expecting are you expecting Alec Bohm to finally have the power surge just because he's 6'5"? Because it's not happening.
Yeah,
Is Max Kepler going to hit 30 home runs because he did it 6 years ago? Spoiler alert, it's not happening.
I do think that they do expect Bohm to get at the RBI rate that he was at last year. I think that's where the bounce back for him needs to be. Trey Turner needs to continue on the trajectory that he's on, not with his defense. Just move him to second base already, but that's fine. Whatever.
Yeah.
I think that there's players that they deem, Dave Dombrowski didn't speak specific aside from Trey Turner, but I would imagine if he's thinking about we all need to get better. I'm imagining it's not just it's not going to be power from Alec Bohm. It's got to be the RBIs. It's got to be hitting with runners in scoring position for him, like he did last year.
I do feel much more optimistic about what Bohm. His bounce back has been.
It's been
to
better.
me, has given me a lot of reason for confidence.
Yeah.
That he seems like he's in a good headspace. And he was not early.
No, he was not.
Or the
even though
though
they tried telling you. Remember Rob Thompson said when he got to spring.
Oh, yeah.
And we argued that with Connor. Yeah. I was like, oh yeah, I'd be good too my first week down in Florida escaping the cold. That sounds nice.
It was great in February.
So I found the quote from Dave Dombrowski on Pattison. When we signed Turner, we signed him as a shortstop, and we told him that he would be our shortstop, and we felt that way. But if we don't think Trey Turner is capable of playing good shortstop, and you have to remember, it's defense and offense that combines there, but we would move him off of shortstop. That would be the way it is. Now, he wouldn't per se like it. We wouldn't, but we also just wouldn't one day wake up and say, hey, we're moving you. So they would take their time, but he does mention the offense too.
Yeah, I mean,
part of the reason why.
Yeah.
Does he think his offense is going to take a dip because he's playing second base?
Like what?
I don't know.
Because mentality-wise, he's shifted over.
They may know better than
and
we
it might
do,
be. That
right?
might
And
be
that's
something
really
Trey
a
Turner's
shame
talked
if it is.
I mean, it's $300 million.
Incredible.
You should be able to play somewhere
For
else.
God's sakes.
I hear you. You're listening to 97.5 The Fanatic, WPEN, HD1, Burlington, Philadelphia, Beasley Media Group Station, broadcasting live from the Comcast Business Studio, powering possibilities. All right, I want to get to this because some of our YouTube listeners have guessed the player.
Okay.
Do you ever feel bad for a player who's on a bad team? And it's so funny, scary. The computers that listen, that hang on to every word, the computer knows exactly who I'm talking about, John.
Paul Skenes.
Yes.
I mean, it has to be.
What is he? He hasn't even been on the Major League team for a year.
So I just saw a tweet from this guy, Donnie Chedrick, who does radio in Pittsburgh.
He does afternoons in Pittsburgh, I believe.
And so, that's where Paul Skenes plays.
Okay.
The tweet is, I love it. Hard to feel bad for a guy dating a model that will one day sign a $500 million contract. But, folks, the Pirates have made that possible. Yesterday, he pitches against the Astros. 8 innings, 3 hits. One of those hits was a home run, and they lost.
Of course. That's what he did against the Phils.
Yeah.
And what a class game. Did you hear his response after the game?
He's great. Yeah.
Oh, he is.
Class act.
Well, but why is it class act? Because he knows he's not going to be there forever.
He hasn't even been a Major League player for a year. He started after the All-Star break last year, right?
No,
he was the starter for the All-Star game.
Oh, no, he was. So it was a year ago.
He's a full year in.
I mean, he
was Rookie of the Year.
I mean, it's like, my gosh. He's not going anywhere. Pittsburgh's not trading him. They've got him for 6 more years. They're not.
Yeah, so do you feel bad for him? Because I do.
I
don't.
He's trapped. He didn't pick to go to the Pirates.
Okay.
The thing is, it's like the Nationals, they were racking up #1 overall picks for a while, but then they also paid some guys, right? They paid some of those guys to come over, Jason Worth being one of them. They paid some of the guys to stay, Ryan Zimmerman.
Pirates aren't doing that.
No,
they don't pay anybody. They're basically glorified Athletics at this point, or the Rockies. There is absolutely no forward progress in that franchise. Castellanos brought this up a couple years ago, and I remember I saw it maybe 2 years ago on Instagram. And he said, if your ownership is not dedicated, they should treat you like they do the EPL, the English Premier League.
Yeah.
You start losing, you lose your franchise.
You're relegated.
Yeah.
I
you lose
agree.
your franchise because where's the investment? Like, that's a great ballpark out there in Pittsburgh.
Beautiful.
Those fans would love to see any kind of semblance of winning, and their ownership's like, nah, we're good. We have one guy. Well, now they have another pitcher that's pretty good too. But do you know what I mean? So it's like, at least when I looked at the Nationals, I thought, well, there was a commitment there. Like, they did pay those guys, and they brought guys in, and they developed their talent. Pittsburgh's like, oh, you're good? And this goes back decades. Think about Barry Bonds. He was a multi-time MVP there.
That's true.
Yeah, wait. He was a multi-time MVP that went to the playoffs, though.
I mean, he's literally one of the greatest players of all time.
Yeah, maybe he went to National League Championship Series.
Yeah, they had other players besides. And then when it came time to actually pay him.
And then it was tough, right?
They were like,
they used to be able, they competed.
It was the 90s.
Exactly.
Paul Skenes in 36 starts now.
It's absurd.
I don't feel bad for a guy with 36 career starts.
Dude.
Yeah, look at
36 career.
Give us the numbers.
36 career empty starts.
No, he's awesome.
Because his ERA is 2.
Yeah, but I don't feel bad. I mean,
and how many wins in those starts?
How old is he? 22?
He is 15 and 9 in his career.
No, I don't feel bad for a 22-year-old.
That should be a season for him.
23-year-old.
Oh, wow,
He
he's 23.
just turned 23.
Yeah, on the 29th of May. Yeah. Dude, I'll be honest. I feel bad.
I feel bad.
It's not like I saw somebody say this on YouTube. If he took the big contract and went there
and struggled,
then it's like, all right,
I got you.
That's on you. You signed with a bad team just to make a lot of money. He just got
I've
drafted.
seen a lot of great players on bad teams but I'm not going to feel bad a year in. You talk to me in a few years, I'll feel bad.
It'll be the same. That's the thing.
No,
Yeah, you're right.
Gonna be
it's
the
not going to
exact same.
change.
There's nothing that indicates it'll change.
They could deal him.
Stop
I don't think they will.
Speaking of Paul Skenes, and when he pitched against the Phillies,
against the Mick,
he got outdueled by Mick Abel. And John Kincade believes tonight's a critical start.
Yep.
I have no idea where we're going at with this. We'll find out next. It's Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Mike Missanelli.
You can't do anything about physical error.
Your first 610-632-0975 will win a pair of tickets to see comedian Kumail Nanjiani June 20th at the Excite Center. Tickets for all upcoming events at parkscasino.com. See, I do not know Kumail.
I watched. I had to go look the other day because I did not know him, but then I ended up seeing his face, and I have seen him.
Yeah, he's very funny.
And he's very funny.
Yeah,
So
you should look up for like one of his stand-up.
That's a good endorsement out of Amy Fadul. First caller at 610-632-0975 will win a pair of tickets. It's at the parkscasino.com or Parks Casino Excite Center. You can check it out, parkscasino.com. Must be 21 plus. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Parks Casino, this is how you win. All right, so Amy, you and I will find out at the same time.
I'm excited.
Why John Kincade believes tonight is a critical start for Mick Abel.
Okay, what are we going to do with the trade deadline coming up, right? We got the trade deadline coming up in around 7 weeks.
Correct.
All right? So we're counting down to that. If Mick Abel comes out tonight and dazzles again, what it does is it gives, well, first off, it brings the cattle prods to Dave Dombrowski, who then at least maybe we're going to see some sort of jolt of energy out of him, of excitement, to go, okay, I've got another exciting asset.
Mm-hmm.
It might be an asset to keep. It might be an asset to deal. It gives you flexibility. It then says, wait a minute, maybe if I see Mick Abel can give me another outing like he gave me against Skenes, well, then maybe I can move and I can move for Ranger Suarez. Ranger Suarez on an expiring contract. Some team that needs starting pitching help that's trying to get into a wild card spot might deal for Ranger Suarez and give us a bullpen arm. I have flexibility there because we think we've got something in Abel. If Abel goes out tonight and looks like Cinderella's carriage turns into a pumpkin, then the word around Major League Baseball is, yeah, that was a great outing against Skenes. It's not. That might be fool's gold.
Well, he has 5 more outings, I would say, even after tonight, but to either continue to pitch well or...
His ERA is at 2, a little over 2.
Right. You don't want to... He could also go out tonight and give up 6.
Yeah.
And the talk of Mick Abel being a trade asset might not be as hot and heavy. I want Mick Abel to be the hot girl on the block. That it's hot girl summer. And I want Mick Abel to be the one that every team is talking about. We have a young starter that, hey, call. See what you got.
Yeah, give us your best.
You have a center fielder? You have a center fielder? You have a bullpen arm?
Does he happen to bat right?
Exactly. Yeah. That would be nice. That would be nice.
I mean, I think that's guaranteed.
By the way, Abel would get you more because of the control.
No question.
Than what Suarez would.
Well, I am
even
also,
though Suarez has shown that he can pitch in the playoffs.
But I'm also telling you here, I am more of the belief, the more I see of Mick Abel, the more I say, nope. Hello. You're interested in Mick Abel? Well, thanks. So are we.
No. You can't hang up right away. Depending on what
do you want to keep? But then in your scenario, you have both Andy Painter and Mick Abel.
Yes.
I mean, these are 2 guys.
I want flexibility to be able to make moves because I'm not sure that Luzardo is going to be a guy you're going to re-sign. And I'm not sure what Aaron Nola is. Yeah, I swear I don't know what. I'm hoping Aaron Nola is going to be okay, but we don't know. We don't know.
I mean, there's nothing in his history that's ever led you to believe that he shouldn't be okay.
Correct.
Unless his velocity has just dipped so much from all the innings.
Because the velocity thing bothers me, and it's 2 months plus of velocity being down. And that scares me.
It is. That's obviously concerning a little bit, but then you look at how he's always operated. I know Topper talked about that. You look at the beginning of his seasons, the last 5 seasons. It's always been like this. And then all of a sudden the All-Star break and everything kind of perks back up for him. He always starts off low with his velocity, lower, I should say, with his velocity. So this is not...
but he's not terrible, though.
Right. I mean,
he's been terrible. You know what I mean?
It's the first time in his entire career, basically.
I got you.
So
yeah, I got you.
I just think he's a reliable arm, and hopefully you could just get that from him. I'm not expecting him. I already have a Cy Young candidate maybe 2, right?
Right.
In Luzardo and Wheeler. So I just need you to be the workhorse that you've been the last decade here.
If I
give
could
me 30 plus starts and give me almost 200 innings.
If
That's
I
what
could
I need.
see you, if you think you got, if we see 4 more starts before the trade deadline of Abel looking like he's really, really solid,
and
you think you have,
you need him,
and you
bring him
think
up.
you think you have Painter, then to me, I'd be fine dealing. And I guarantee you, some team competing for the wild card would make a deal for Ranger.
Oh yeah,
agreed.
And would get you, and you could get some bullpen help or a center
Absolutely.
fielder. And then to me, I'm saying to myself, I then would have the ability, knowing I have 2 controllable starters,
Right.
I can pay Luzardo.
Yeah. I wouldn't hang up the phone immediately on anything with Abel. I mean, you should never hang up the phone immediately with anybody.
No.
Well, you know me, I don't like the phone. So I sort of would bag up. I hang up the phone too quickly to begin with.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, if somebody calls for
Don't talk to
Abel
me.
and they offer
I
you
hate the phone.
they offer you a starting center fielder that can bash and can field, like, you're not going to
Which isn't.
not have the
What,
phone
by the way,
call.
it's not Cedric Mullins.
Correct.
I keep getting
No.
Cedric Mullins emails.
It was it was so popular. He was such a
4 years
popular
ago.
exactly.
He's hitting like 210.
Yeah.
and he
215.
wasn't very good last year even when his name was
Four
coming.
years ago, there was a lot of rumors with Mullins. For whatever reason, the Orioles held on to him. Then they had the great 100-win season.
Yep.
Lost in the first round of the playoffs, and his career's sort of gone downhill since then. It happens, but you're right. The Mullins thing, I'm still interested, but I'm not paying.
I'm not paying.
No, you're not paying
I
top
can promise you.
dollar
And
for
I'm not
Cedric
paying
Mullins.
Ranger Suarez for him.
Yeah.
And that they don't want to. They wouldn't be in the market for an expiring contract anyway.
Right.
No, yeah, they're in the rebuild.
The one thing that I saw one of these, mock trades things with the Phillies and the Orioles.
Okay.
Is if you traded Ranger Suarez and probably a prospect or something to the Orioles, where you would get Cedric Mullins in the deal.
And what else?
But then you'd get Bautista, the hard throwing right-hander.
I like Bautista.
Who's 6'8".
I like Bautista.
Guy throws triple digits.
I like
and that's
Bautista.
a bullpen arm that you could also add to your team. All right, coming up next, we'll check our text line. Somebody wants to chime in about the legend conversation. What makes you a legend in your respective city, or at least here in Philadelphia? Also, I want to get back to some of these Vic Fangio clips that we played way back in the 6 o'clock hour. Get Amy's reaction to them as well. It's Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
Harper returns and doesn't take long to go yard. I'm Brendan Gunn with your Fanatic Sports Update. The Phillies put an end to their 4-game losing skid as the Bats came alive in an 8-3 win over the Toronto Blue Jays last night. Not only that, but it was also the return of Bryce Harper, and he returned in a big way in his first at-bat. In the first inning, Trey Turner and Bryce Harper got the team on the board with back-to-back home runs. Turner also went deep a second time later in the game. Christopher Sanchez got the start on the mound last night. He went 6 innings, struck out 4, allowed 1 run on 4 hits. The Phils continue that series against the Blue Jays tonight. Mick Abel's going to be on the mound for his second career start in the big leagues. First pitch is tonight at 7:07. The Eagles have an off day today before wrapping up OTAs tomorrow. But yesterday, prior to yesterday's practice, defensive coordinator Vic Fangio spoke, and he had some great things to say about Jordan Davis. Fangio said he's been in the building getting his pass rush skills better. That came to fruition in the NFC Championship game and the Super Bowl.
He showed it in practice first, and then it carried over into the games. And so I think he realized that, felt it, felt good, and he's just carried it over all off season.
After OTAs wrap up tomorrow, next on the agenda for the Birds is mandatory minicamp, which opens up this coming Tuesday, June 10th. This update was brought to you by Mercedes-Benz. The Mercedes-Benz Dream Day sales are back with offers on vehicles like the 2025 E-Class CLE Coupe, C-Class, and EQE Sedan. Hurry in now through July 31st. Learn more at mbusa.com/dream. I'm Brendan Gunn on the home of the NBA playoffs, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic. Got to check out the Fanatic deal of the week. Maybe Amy will. You got 2 kids. Same day ride and water park.
You got 2 kids, Amy.
To Maurice Piers.
I'm going down the water slide.
For just $70, that's a savings of $50 per ticket. That's a big deal for unlimited rides on 3 piers in both water parks for a whole day. Make this summer unforgettable at Maurice Piers. Get this exclusive offer while supplies last at 975thefanatic.com/deals. You know how much the shore costs add up pretty quickly. So if you could save $50 a ticket, $100 for 2 kids,
now,
big deal.
That's a good deal.
Now, Amy, think of with the age of your children now.
Yes.
Are you getting to the point, though, where a water park thing isn't too bad because the kids are getting to the age where you can sort of go, okay, we're here on
Have
these
fun.
chairs.
One of them I can.
Go have fun.
The other
yeah.
one's 4.
Yeah, a little bit more.
You mean the older brother doesn't take care of the younger brother?
He does. But he has his limits, too.
I still remember.
He isn't bullying him, holding his head under the water or anything
No,
like that.
Shawnee
He's a good big brother.
Shawnee
So where John used to work down the Jersey Shore at the Bob's Grill, where you would you did like the bike
You
rentals,
do the
right?
bikes and stuff.
There's a bakery attached to it, right? It's all like one thing.
Yeah.
And my parents let me and my sister walk across the street to get the sticky buns.
Those are everywhere. I mean, like, those.
It's a big deal. They're walking across the street.
I think I was, I may have been like 4 or 5, and my sister would have been, 8 or 9. And look, they watched from the house like hawks.
So they would watch you walk across the street.
But they watched us walk across the street, buy the sticky buns, and bring it back.
Ours never did.
Yeah,
See, that's the difference in generation.
Figure it out, kiddo.
By the way, Amy did something earlier. Let me quickly get this.
Yeah.
Amy did something earlier, and she looked at me glazed over, and you didn't react at all. Ray has a T-shirt on today.
Yes.
It's a great T-shirt.
And I said, that looks like one of the old Philadelphia Inquirer iron-on T-shirts. And you guys all looked at me like we have no idea what you're talking about.
So did they
on Sundays?
You got to get an iron-on in the paper? That's amazing.
That's
and then you made
really cool.
That's a great idea.
On Sundays,
and
they used to put in
made your own shirt?
Yes, in the Philadelphia Inquirer or the Bulletin.
Bring that back.
They would have a
I was
Phillies.
just about to say, newspapers are dying, right?
There you go.
Come up with ways to get people to buy
iron-on
paper.
in there.
That's what they did. They would be, the Phillies season was starting. The weekend before Phillies season started, the Phillies iron-on would be in the Sunday paper.
So did they do it for every season? So the beginning of Phillies,
there'd be an Eagles
Sixers?
one. There'd be a Sixers one.
Could you imagine?
And you would get a T-shirt of your own.
I love this.
And then your mom would iron it on at home.
This is great.
And you'd make your own T-shirt.
Honestly, you could make more. People will buy papers doing that.
But it's so crazy to me that
I looked at
Amy.
I was like, what?
And Amy's like, what? What are you talking about?
You got an iron?
And there are people all over the Delaware Valley right now going, of course, I had tons of those.
Yeah.
Because we didn't have Rally House.
Oh, yeah.
Remember, we didn't even have Modell's till I was probably in high school.
College.
We didn't go to, and then once we got Modell's, all hell broke loose. Then it was fun. I mean, it was but we didn't have that stuff, so you used to get the iron-ons.
And
then when the team went to
paper, but I definitely buy more.
When the Flyers would go to the playoffs,
you get a new one?
There'd be a special playoff edition,
this is amazing.
iron-on.
You know what? Here's an idea. Philadelphia Inquirer. We're friends with you guys. I'll tell Jeff McClain to tell the people this. I'm sure Jeff's all over.
Jeff's gonna go. Thanks, Andrew.
You know what they should do? You buy a ticket. Buy a newspaper. You get a little coupon. Any of the giveaways from any of the Phillies games that are left over.
Yeah, you get one of those.
You get one of those. You just gotta bring it.
You got to go to Brazier's office and
you
go through his closet there?
You bring it to the ticket office if from a previous game.
Good idea.
Little things, because people love free stuff. Man, when we do our events,
if it's free,
those T-shirts go off the table.
Some ladies curse you out.
I got cursed out by a lady that she didn't get one.
We always give out those beads, those beaded necklace for any kind of playoff
People
run.
love them.
They go crazy for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they might wear them for 5 minutes.
I think this is so funny.
Just that day.
There are going to be people, and I'm sure people will find them on the internet, that this was a big deal.
Yeah, I want to see.
When the Sunday paper came out. Now, next time you see Ray Diddy, he'll tell you all about it. Because there would always be, you'd be reading the Ray Didinger column, you'd be reading the Jason Stark column, and you'd be getting your iron on. And you'd be, getting it out of the newspaper. There'd be the iron.
They're probably at thrift stores in Philly right now.
I guarantee you.
Sure.
But no, this is like
selling them for like $50.
No, my mom would.
They're classics.
But the thing is, your mom would get like a Fruit of the Loom T-shirt
Even better.
and put it on it.
I'm pro Fruit of the Loom. Love
and
that.
that's what it would be. So
love Fruit of the Loom.
Haynes.
Haynes, your Haynesman.
Your Haynes.
Hayneswoman.
Amy.
It's got to be tagless, though.
Of course.
Amy, how concerned are you about the change on the defense for the Eagles, the amount of turnover that they had?
Yeah, it's interesting because, we talked about right before OTAs and how everything, it's like the first time, I think, in a long time that we have a new offensive coordinator for the Eagles, and we're not all panicked because there's only one change. It's just Mekhi Becton, right? And so I think, Tyler Steen, there you go. It's kind of a seamless transition. The offense is all going to be good. Defense, there are some concerns for me in the back end of that secondary. Darius Slay, I think, is a loss. CJ GJ, I think those are losses. In the fact that they had that veteran presence and that kind of dog mentality or whatever it is. Skill level, I think that there's guys that are going to be able to step up, but those are big veteran shoes to fill. And I think when you have guys that really kind of came to the forefront like Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean, that was just a bonus. But you needed those kind of really reliable guys in the back half of that secondary. So there is a little bit of a concern for me in that. The edge, I think, is also going to be something that I think we're going to look at and be like, okay, what are we doing there? Like, who's going to come to the forefront and really help out Jalen Carter when it comes to some of those, that defensive front. So there's some concern. I don't know. I feel like last year we were all kind of panicked, and then the defense came into its own.
Well, and I remember having those exact same conversations about the edge rushers last year, and it worked out for him. So the reason why I asked you the question, Vic Fangio, who I love that he just gets to the point. I love that he, I think, speaks truthfully. I don't think Vic Fangio does coach speak.
No, it's
right?
my favorite thing.
It's, hey, if you're playing well, he'll say you're playing well. Yep. If you stink, hey, Bryce Huff's not figuring this out. I'm not going to dress him for the Super Bowl. He spoke yesterday for the first time, during OTAs, and he talked about the turnover that this defense has. And I think this could maybe, just hearing him talk about it, put me a little bit at ease.
I look at this year very similar to last year in that at this time last year, we had a lot of turnover in personnel from the previous year. You had Bond. Nobody knew what he was at this point last year. You had Nakobe, who hadn't played any meaningful NFL football in his first 2 years. You had Oren Burks, who we had just signed. You had Isaiah Rodgers, who we had just signed. You had Ojomo, who didn't play hardly at all his rookie year. You got Nolan, who didn't play hardly at all his rookie year. We got Chauncey back. We drafted Q, Cooper, Jalix. We had a lot of question marks at that time, or you didn't know. This year, those names are replaced. Ringo, Adoree, Sidney, McCollum, Ojulari, Uche, Byron Young, Gabe Hall, Booker, Jihad, all the draft picks, Makuba, Robinson, Smile, and then the rest of the rookies. Some of those guys in that second list have to become like those guys in the first list. And I don't know how that's going to turn out, but I look at it as really basically the same one year to the next. The names have changed. Hopefully we'll get the same results from these new guys that we got from a lot of the new guys last year.
So Vic Fangio, who normally speaks in 10-second clips.
That was
a minute plus.
That was unbelievable.
Like 15 people.
But I liked it.
Of course.
It wasn't. Remember when Nick Sirianni? Sorry, Nick. A few years ago, after the season came to an end, I don't know if it was his first year. I think it was his first year when they lost to the Bucs. He was asked about the wide receiver room, and it was a 5-minute answer.
Yeah.
He talked about each wide receiver for a minute.
Including guys that barely saw the field.
J.J. Arcega-Whiteside's blocking ability is unbelievable. And I'm like,
stop.
All right, dude, come on, man, cut it out. But that clip right there, because of what Fangio dealt with last year and turned it into the number one defense, when I hear that, it makes me feel pretty good.
Yeah, because he's giving examples. And how about when he said Kobe Dean hadn't played meaningful football?
Which is true, though.
Yeah, I mean, that's about as honest as you get. The guy was out there, but it wasn't meaningful football. And he wasn't in at times that were important. So I think he was just trying to draw the parallels. And I like the way that Fangio it seems like it's like a stream of consciousness. Like he's literally just going through these names. And when he mentioned Zach Bond, we all remember last year, the first time we ever heard Zach Bond's name, Vic Fangio specifically pointed him out. So for him to say those names like Akili Ringo and Jalix Hunt, saying, listen, those guys were here, they're going to be able to fill that role and be, the first names like I'm talking about. Yeah, they're the second names I mentioned, but they're going to be able to play like the first names I talked about. I think if he holds those guys in that regard, that's good enough for me.
Yeah. All right, absolutely.
I sense the hesitation in his voice, though.
Do you?
So I didn't get that.
I did. I guarantee you they're shopping for defensive end help.
Oh, I'm sure they are, but I don't think that means that he doesn't think that they can get something done.
No, I think yes, but I think he knows he needs more.
I also wonder. I saw McLean yesterday told us that he would not be surprised if they brought in another safety.
Yeah,
that surprised me a little bit.
Justin Simmons is still available.
No,
I'm just saying. And they clear up a little bit of space. They have $15 million in cap space.
No thanks.
1 year, $10 million?
No. $10 million? No. Nope.
I think that's what he got last year.
No, and I can tell you from what I've heard in Atlanta. Nope.
Okay.
Nope.
Last year was 1 for 8. Would you do 1 for 8?
Nope.
Really?
5, 6, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe do that. There's a reason why nobody's calling.
Okay.
Whatever he's asking's too much.
Fair enough.
So when the price comes down, I'll talk.
Then you'll be interested.
Yeah,
All
I'll
right.
be interested.
All right, coming up next, we'll check some of our text messages. We got the key 3 as well. It is Kincade and Salciunas here on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Connor Thomas.
Lazar's made, 11, 12 starts this year?
11 of them. Salciunas 97.5, The Fanatic. Real quick, I just heard from an old friend, Johnny.
Who's your friend?
Connor Thomas.
I saw this interaction.
Connor really did?
Where's the breaking news sounder?
Wait a minute.
From Connor Thomas.
Wait. No. That can't be true because Connor's.
It's not. He's
not with us anymore.
Well, he is on social media anyway.
So rest in peace, alive, Connor Thomas.
Yeah, rest in peace, alive. One of the best moments of my life that you said. Were you there? Did you hear that?
I heard it, but I wasn't.
Yeah, rest in peace, alive.
Connor's alive?
Yeah. So
this is like on The Young and the Restless when someone comes back from the dead.
Yes.
And you don't expect them, and then they show up at the wedding.
Dun, dun, dun.
Usually at the wedding. So that's unbelievable.
So first and foremost,
or at the funeral.
Connor, they do that too.
Connor did an exceptional job. Holding it down until
really awesome
the decision was made that Bill would be working with Ricky starting Monday for Unfiltered. I've been in that position before, so I know kind of
it's a hard
the stress, right? You don't know what's going on in the future and all that kind of stuff. Connor did an exceptional job, and we're excited to have him back on Monday. But Sean puts out a tweet because Connor congratulated, the new show and thanked everybody for being a part of the ride while it's been 3 weeks now. And Sean goes, "Good work, Connor. Excited to hear the three amigos back together, John Kincade, Andrew Salciunas, and you."
We're thrilled
and
to
he
have him.
says, "Thanks, Sean. Can't wait to talk to the guys again."
Well, my phone's been working. I have T-Mobile.
Because he hasn't talked to you in 2.5 weeks.
It's been great.
Yeah, a text would have been nice.
It'd be nice.
A call, a letter, a note.
A little postcard.
A postcard. I mean, I
drop it in the mail.
I sit in the same seat as him. So he could have left
a little post-it note.
Could have left a post-it note for me.
I mean, it could have been anything.
Nice. So now all of a sudden, now that he's coming back, he's excited to talk to us again.
I mean, the only way that I ever saw Connor was when I understand, I went into the club the other day, and the bartender said, Connor dropped by earlier and said, could I turn the TVs all on so I would see NBC Sports Philadelphia when I get in.
And we appreciate that.
They're always on.
I'm very much looking forward to making fun of that for him on Monday.
We're going to be all over Connor on that one.
I'm going to ask him if he's going to stream the YouTube show at a bar later.
By the way, we have him on at the club all the time.
I was going to say,
I'm very much looking forward to talking to Connor about that. All right, I want to get a call here because we got into a conversation earlier. So, Amy, yesterday we were reacting to, quickly, Ronald Darby retiring and just sort of the impact that he made when they won the first Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. And one of the tweets I saw was Eagles legend. And I'm like, all right. I love the block. When Patrick Robinson said the pick six, he had some good moments.
Player for that moment in the Super Bowl. Great.
Eagles legends.
Some moments that,
a little insane.
It's funny you say that because I saw that with LaShawn McCoy, Eagles legend LaShawn McCoy. And my first thought was like, yeah. But then someone's like, in the newsroom, they're like, is he a legend? I was like,
yeah, I would say so.
He's a legend.
Most yards ever. Yeah, I would say he's a legend.
But there was definitely a pause when there was other, we all talk like you guys all do. And it was just like,
is Deshaun Jackson?
No.
Is David Akers?
Deshaun Jackson's not.
David Akers.
Can a kicker be a legend?
I don't think.
That's what I'm asking. I don't think
so. I don't think
He might be able to be.
Jake Elliott's on his way.
No.
I don't think a kicker could be a legend, with all due respect.
No.
But Rick wants to talk about this. Let's go to Rick. What up, brother?
How are you?
What's going on,
Rick.
man? How are you?
It really boils down to these players are winners, winning players. There is a difference between a championship player and a winning player. All championship players are winning players. Some players have been on championship teams, hardly played. Didn't play at all. You're not a winner. You participated on a winning team, on a championship team. Remove the championship out of the equation, that man is still a winner.
Okay. He's a winner.
That's what it is. That's what sports is.
He's not a legend.
Yeah, but Reggie White is a legend. He never won with the Eagles.
He's a winner.
No, he's a legend. Reggie White is a legend.
Honestly, Reggie wasn't a winner here.
He was a good player.
He was a great player.
Yeah, but if I say legends of the Philadelphia Eagles, Reggie White is one of the first names.
There's transference.
So Brian Dawkins. Brian Dawkins didn't win a Super Bowl.
Name some Philadelphia players, any sport.
Okay, Mike Schmidt.
We can get into.
I mean, he's not
Mike Smith,
greatest third baseman.
championship player, winner, legend.
Pete
Spencer,
Rose.
next player,
Chase Utley.
winner, champion, legend.
All right,
Ronald Darby.
Allen Iverson. He didn't win a championship.
Who you want me to get into first? Ronald Darby?
Yeah, Ronald Darby.
Let's review and discuss. Ronald Darby, player.
Yeah, he's a player on the championship team. That's
Yeah.
what we're saying. We're on the same page.
Yeah, exactly. Thanks for the call, Rick.
We're on the same page.
I didn't know where. I thought he was saying initially that he was calling.
It's not that he's
relative.
along for the ride, and like it's not like he's along for the ride.
He was a valuable contributor.
He really did
in the
some
Super Bowl
nice
team.
things.
Eagles legend.
Yeah, he's not a legend.
But like, you don't have to win a championship to be a legend.
No.
Like
Dolphins legend Dan Marino.
Right. Yeah. Like when I think of legends, like who did my dad tell me about? Like when I was growing up, right? And like Reggie White. Like I had a Reggie
I think
White.
that whole '93 like Phillies team was like legendary, but they were probably legendary for different reasons.
Right. But like I had a Reggie White jersey as a little kid. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
I think there's transference of the legend stats too.
But then we had a couple people on YouTube. Like even though it was for a moment, Nick Foles is a legend because
Nick Foles is
the one play
legendary moment.
He's a legend.
He's a legend.
If you're the first quarterback to win the Super Bowl,
His
with
number's retired.
Yeah,
like
he's
officially retired.
Officially, his number's not retired.
No, they've asked for it, and he told Josh Sweat.
Yeah, but his number's not retired.
It's going to be one.
No, will not be retired.
You don't think Nick Foles' number will?
I think it
ever be
absolutely
retired?
will.
Ron Jaworski's isn't retired. His isn't
Ron Jaworski
retired.
didn't win a Super Bowl.
Yeah, Nick
I understand
Foles
it's
won
not going to be
Nick
retired.
Foles
I
won
think
the
it's-
first Super Bowl
I
in
think
will not
Eagles
be
franchise
retired.
history.
I'm on the record saying
All
I
right,
think
we will
100%.
bet this. We will look back on this one. It will not.
Cannot wait
I'll
to
bet
call
you on
you.
it. We're good.
The second somebody wears that jersey, people are going to be furious.
Yes.
They're going to be furious.
That
All
is
right, it's
not
time
true,
now
Jeff.
for the Kincade Salciunas Key 3 best minutes from today's show.
Now, the Kincade and Salciunas Key 3. Today's best.
Phillies win yesterday. They
That
beat the
first inning was
Toronto
wild,
Blue Jays 8-3. 6 runs in the first. They sent 11 batters, 2 home runs back-to-back, Turner and Bryce Harper. So that must mean that everybody is happy again, right, John?
I would imagine that probably there were some, or some people go into hiding.
That's probably going to happen.
It could mean that
yeah.
also. And I told Andrew yesterday, I had this weird feeling that last night's game was going to be the start of something. The Phillies season is going to go one of two directions. It's either going to go dramatically in one direction or dramatically in the other. Either it's going to race off towards a playoff berth or it's going to race off towards a cliff. And then that first inning happened last night, and I told my wife, and I said I just had this gut instinct that this is going to be the start of something. That this team's going to either answer the bell, turn around what has been a spin, or they're going to spin out of control. And then that first inning happened. Now look, one game doesn't determine, one inning doesn't determine.
4 games doesn't determine either.
No, but I loved that response last night. I really enjoyed that because I really thought that I saw relief in that dugout.
That's why I am not overreacting, because I believe there was a lot of overreacting done in this 4-game stretch. It was bad, and I reacted to it that way, right? Yeah. It was bad. There's flaws with this team. I don't think Max Kepler was the best addition this offseason. They need a center fielder. They need a right-handed bat. So, like, all those things that people grouse over and think that I don't grouse about, I do. I say it every single day on the show. But that 4-game losing streak, I just went back to the last 3 World Series teams, and they all had one similar. 08 was the furthest one from it, with just 25 runs, but there was a 3-11 stretch. Comcast Business Hotline. Every day in business is a big day. Let Comcast Business get you ready for what's next. Shefty, good morning.
Gentlemen, what is going on? Well, just a guess. If he's saying that now, my guess is he'd start the season on PUP, and he'd be out the first 5-6 games of the year minimum until they can start to bring him back. That's my guess. I don't know that, but when you're talking like that at this time of the year and saying those sort of things, that's the next natural step, that somebody would start the year on PUP and be out, roughly the first third of the season. He's an old school guy, and he tells it like it is. And I think coaches always have to be mindful of what they're saying, and you have to be truthful, but you're not going to be fully truthful. But Vic's a pretty honest guy. You kind of get a real sense of what he feels, where he stands. I can say it now. I remember going into last season, last summer, he sounded like the defense had potential, but wasn't there yet. They had work to do, and clearly they got the work done. I mean, he's always worried. he's always thinking this isn't going to work out. It's kind of the way that he thinks, and it motivates him. But he's one of the great defensive coordinators of all time.
He could also go out tonight and give up 6.
Yeah.
And the talk of Mick Abel being a trade asset might not be as hot and heavy.
All right, that was the Kincade Salciunas Key 3 best minutes from today's show. During the Key 3, we were chit-chatting a little bit about Tibbs.
Yes.
And we haven't asked Amy yet about it. I still am in shock.
I mean, as soon as you think the New York Knicks are like doing, listen.
They're on the right track.
Yeah. The NBA is better if the Knicks are at least a respectable franchise. And they make a good run last year. They at the expense of the Sixers. They make a run this year. Good times. They make the move for Cat and Mikal Bridges. All right.
And remember, people did not like the Cat. People thought that the Cat trade would hurt the Knicks.
Yes.
That's what every national person
said. And they thought it would
said.
hurt Minnesota, too.
Yes, I remember the trade was a bad trade for both teams, right?
Both teams made it to the conference finals.
It was it worked out better. I was definitely like, I think it's going to work because it's going to give another a high-powered scoring option because you just can't have Jalen Brunson can't literally do it all.
Do it all, yeah.
But I thought, well, that's going to be a good team. They were designed to take out the Celtics. Boom, done. Did it. To fire your coach.
Are you kidding?
It was seriously. Honestly, I was telling you guys that I looked at it when it came across my phone, and I double checked to make sure it wasn't like a fake account.
NBA Sentinel.
I thought exactly. Yeah. Or like Shams is spelled with 2 N's together. So I was just, I don't know what they're thinking. But then again, the Knicks are going to nick. That's great. Good for you.
Now, I just saw a tweet from Jake Fisher, who does a great job covering the NBA. He said, part of the coaching element in New York with the Knicks, and this is when I call out Leon Rose and Worldwide West.
By the way, he was not physically in to be able to do the thing yesterday. I read the New York Post, please.
So
he wasn't there to be able to do a in-person stuff.
All right. So they're usually hidden, and that's why Jake Fisher said part of the coaching search. Thibodeaux was not also just the coach; he was the de facto spokesman throughout the Knicks' tenure. Pre-game media availabilities also doubled as the New York's official statements following trades, signings, etc. He did all of it.
That's because he wanted that. He asked for that.
Okay.
So he asked for that.
But they're looking for
some
that.
Some of those guys are a little. They've always been a little squirrely when it comes to Worldwide West doesn't. No, you never hear from him.
No, you never hear from him.
Malone, I don't think's a good fit. He just got run out of Denver where he won a title less than 2 years ago.
The thing is, it was interesting when they made the move for Cat because of how Cat plays. And I think that was the one thing that was a little trepidatious. Like, how's that going to work? Because you're replacing Isaiah Hartenstein, who was absolutely a rebounding machine. Cat, that's not his role, right? He's a scorer. He'll rebound because it falls to him or whatever. The trademark of Tom Thibodeau is that defensive juggernaut, is that rebounding, is everybody's all in on all things like. So it was interesting but they made it work to the tune of going to the finals and taking the Pacers, I thought, in a very good series.
Oh, incredible.
Because last year's Knicks
and Halliburton hitting that shot in game one, like who knows which way the series goes.
Does last year's Knicks team beat this Pacers team?
No.
No?
I think no. Because I think Mikal Bridges and Cat do more to keep them close. With the way that the Pacers run and gun, you needed points, and they didn't have that. They weren't the scoring team that they were this year.
No, last year they were keeping teams to like 90 points. Yeah,
so just
which in today's NBA is amazing.
Yeah, and they'll drag you down, which is great. But I don't think they would have dragged the Pacers down enough to beat them. But
you
I
never
don't
drag
know.
us down.
Never, Amy. You're the best.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you for joining us.
Even though you don't have
always.
iron-on T-shirts.
I'm going to
go
get
one.
one.
Now you're fascinated.
I'm at the
next time you see
Ray. I'm not doing a
next
Google
time you
search.
see Ray Diddy,
I'm going to ask him.
Jimmy Lynam about him. He'll know about them. These were a big these were a big thing.
I got the iron-on in my
iron-on
newspaper
T-shirts.
there,
Hey, Window Nation knows all about great things, too, and they know about supporting cancer research, like the American Association for Cancer Research. Go to 975thefanatic.com/AACR like they did. Make your donation today because cancer research saves lives.
Amy, you're the best.
Thank you, guys.
Looking forward to hanging out with you again next week. Everybody have a great rest of your day. The Mike Missanelli Show with Ray Dunn comes your way next.